They're starting to file into Progressive Field here in Cleveland as the Indians play host to the Oakland Athletics. Progressive Field here in Cleveland, plenty of good seats still available as the fourth and final game of this four-game series about to be played. And the Oakland Ball Club, the leaders in the wild card race in the American League, go for the sweep of the four-game series. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jerry Trupiano alongside former Major League pitcher Jeff Nelson. And last night, the Oakland Athletics took their third straight game in this series. It's a rough night for Cleveland as CABRERA, the all-star shortstop for Cleveland, ejected by home plate Gary Darling after a disputed third strike call. CABRERA not happy, the Cleveland fans not happy. But the Clevelanders able to get on top, break a 24-inning scoreless streak on this Jason Donald home run in the third inning off the starter for Oakland, Travis Buckley. In the fourth inning, the Indians give the lead right back. A three-run homer by Josh Donaldson off the starter Corey Kluber for the Cleveland Indians. And Oakland continue their hitting. Seth Smith, a double in the seventh, as he's back off the disabled list. The Athletics adding to their lead and piling it on against Cleveland. And the Athletics won it by a score of 8-4. And Jeff, this Oakland Ball Club now leading the wild card race in the American League, and they're doing it with a lot of pitching. Yeah, and a lot of smoke and mirrors as well. You mentioned they're second in the league in pitching, and they've been outstanding. Offense, they're only 13th in the league, but they scored 8 runs yesterday. They got a tough schedule going ahead. Out of the last 32 games, not including today, there's only 9 games that they play against teams under 500. So if they're going to continue this, and they have, everybody, if you thought about this in the beginning of the year, there's no way that you thought Oakland would be in the spot that they're in now. Bob Melvin has done an outstanding job. They've had outstanding pitching, like you mentioned. Their bullpen's been outstanding, and they've got just enough offense to come through. They're fourth in the league in stolen bases. They make things happen on the base paths. So that's what they've been doing, and that's one of the reasons why they're leading the wild card right now. And we're going to see one of their star pitchers today, a young right-hander, Jared Parker, a right-hander. They got him from the Arizona Diamondbacks, who will be matched up against Justin Masterson. And Jared Parker, the last time out, very good against Tampa Bay, although he didn't get the decision. Yeah, he was outstanding. 6 innings, 7 hits, only gave up 3 runs, struck out 7 against the Rays. These two guys, Masterson and Parker, faced off each other August 19th, 2 starts ago. And Parker was outstanding against Cleveland at home. 8 innings, a shutout ball. Masterson on the other side got roughed up a little bit. 7 runs he gave up in 5 2/3. So Parker's been outstanding. He also has a 2.04 ERA in day games. So this plays out pretty well for him. Now, Justin Masterson, the starter for the Cleveland Indians, he could post you up. He's a big guy. Yeah, he's got an outstanding fastball. He's got a good four-seamer, and he's got a good sinker. He comes from the three-quarter angle, and he's got a good breaking ball. For him, the key is to stay ahead because, in the lineup, in the A's lineup, they have 7 out of 9 guys are left-handed. Lefties hit very well, 287 off of Masterson. He needs to stay ahead, and then he can utilize that sinker. And he also likes to throw that 95-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone. Now, Masterson has been a stopper for the Cleveland Indians, stopping losing streaks of 4, 9, and 11 games. That's the good news. The bad news is they've had those losing streaks. We'll have the starting lineups of the first pitch of this afternoon's game coming up next. Well, just it's 'cause I love you. I love those crazy things you make me do. I don't mind if you want me to. I do, oh, baby, 'cause I love you. Whoa, I love you. With Jeff Nelson, I'm Jerry Trupiano, and here's the starting lineup for the Oakland Athletics. Coco Crisp in center field. He's back after fouling a ball off his foot. He was in the lineup last night. Newcomer Stephen Drew is the shortstop. Josh Reddick, trying to battle out of a slump, is in right field. Rookie sensation YOENIS out of Cuba is the DH. Seth Smith in left. Brandon Moss gets a start at first base. Josh Donaldson, back up from the minor leagues and carrying the cover off the ball right now for Oakland, is a third. George Kataris is the catcher, and batting ninth for second baseman Cliff Pennington. The starting pitcher is Jared Parker, 8-7 with a .352 earned run average. The umpires for today's game: Paul Emmel will work the plate. Scott Berry is the first base umpire. Jerry Meals has the plays at second base, and Gary Darling is the third base umpire. Jeff Nelson is a former Major League pitcher. Did you keep a book on the umpires like Roger Clemens did?
I didn't, although I expected it, and I never threw a ball. Everything was a strike, and if it was a ball, then I kind of stared him down a little bit. And actually, the pitch last night that ASDRUBAL CABRERA got thrown out on, if I got that pitch, I would have still been pitching right now. I mean, that thing was like a 59-foot curveball, and he got thrown out on it. And I was like, man, where was those pitches when I was throwing?
The Indians have taken the field. And Justin Masterson, the big right-hander from Jamaica, the only pitcher in Major League history to be born in Jamaica. He's out of the Boston Red Sox organization, was a second-round draft choice by the Red Sox. And he was traded to the Cleveland Indians in the Victor Martinez deal at the trading deadline in 2009. Masterson makes his home these days in Indianapolis. Red Sox drafted him in the second round out of San Diego State back in 2006. Jeff, what about the Cleveland defense? Who's going to be backing up Mr. Masterson?
Well, we got Marson behind the plate. It's going to catch Masterson. We'll go out to left field to CARRERA. Center field is BRANTLEY. CHOO is in right field. HANNAHAN at third base. CABRERA as ASDRUBAL is at shortstop. Kipnis, a very good young player at second base. KOTCHMAN at first. There's your defense for the Cleveland Indians.
Their manager, Manny Acta, has seen his club struggle offensively, has seen them struggle pitching-wise. Mentally, yeah. One of their strengths, he says, was their defense, but that is sort of good in South here lately.
Yeah, and, you need to get off to a good start. It's all about rhythm with Masterson. He pitched, you look at these guys, not too long ago, 2 starts ago, they faced each other. And sometimes if Masterson can learn from what he got beat up on 2 times before, 7 runs in 5 2/3 innings. And the whole key is him to get ahead. If he can get ahead with his fastball, he can do a lot with his sinker. He throws that breaking ball. But from the left side, because he throws from the 3/4 angle, hitters get a good read on his ball. They see his ball a lot better than right-handed hitters.
Coco Crisp takes a called strike, and Masterson is ahead with the fastball here against Crisp. He must have been listening. There's a little pop-up for the second baseman, Kipnis. Outfield grass makes the catch. There's a good start for Justin Masterson.
Well, outstanding. I mean, he throws the first pitch fastball for a strike, and then he just jams Crisp right there with an inside 4-seamer, and that's what he has to do. He needs to get ahead, and then he needs to pound these lefties with the A's because there's 7 of them in this lineup inside. If he does that, he's going to have some success, and maybe he's learned, like I said, from the 2 outings ago when he did have that start in Oakland against the A's.
Stephen Drew, recently acquired from Arizona, the shortstop. It down and in. It's also important to keep a guy like Crisp off the bases with the big guys coming in.
Exactly. He's with 29 stolen bases out of 33 attempts. He's among the league leaders in stolen bases.
Out of 1-1, Stephen Drew questions the plate umpire, Paul Emmel. Either that or he's saying, nice call, Paul.
Well, I mean, he threw the first pitch I thought was close too, and it's all about rhythm, and you need to try to get close pitches early in the game. It's basically feeding out the umpire and feeling out the umpire where's his zone going to be.
CABRERA, the shortstop, out. The center fielder, BRANTLEY, in to make the catch for the second out.
We might have some speed-up rules here in the getaway day.
Does it bother you at all? I know he's gotten 2 outs with the first 2 hitters, but Masterson's a ground ball pitcher by trade.
Yeah, it's fine. What he's doing is he's staying ahead, though, and that's the key. The throw strikes, he's establishing his fastball early. You haven't seen a breaking pitch yet, and he doesn't need to throw one. He throws from the 3/4 angle. He's going to see a lot of lefties with the A's. Move the ball in and out, but most importantly, get ahead, and that way he can utilize and climb the ladder a little bit with that 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Josh Reddick, the right fielder, and a good one of their power hitters, looks at a called strike.
And right there, a good sinker. I mean, he started at the inside part of the plate against Reddick, and he moved it over, and it broke over to the middle.
26 home runs for Reddick. He's another from the Boston organization. There's a foul tip, and he's in a hole here.
97 miles an hour right there from Masterson.
Reddick came in the Andrew Bailey trade from the Boston Red Sox. This guy's one of the best right fielders in the game right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's second in outfield assists with 13, right behind Jeff Francoeur of Kansas City.
See, I like that pitch right there. 0-2, and he made the hitter move his feet. He didn't throw at him, but he made him move his feet.
Well, that's the thing. The inside pitch with pitchers has all of a sudden become, you don't see it a lot. I watched the game last night, and you didn't see it a lot. And for him, for Masterson at those 3/4, you need to go inside against these lefties. You can't be letting them leak out over. And with Josh Reddick, he doesn't he doesn't like the ball inside. He wants to get his hands extended. He's got, what, 26 home runs this year.
Fly ball, Carrera in left, over towards the line, and it falls out of harm's way in foul territory. I'm not so sure Carrera got a good read on that ball.
Well, the sun, you can see, you know, the play before, Cabrera at shortstop going out to center field had a hard time seeing that ball. They have their glasses on, but it's a high sky, beautiful day here in Cleveland, and it's tough. It's going to be tough to pick up early.
You're going to hear some aircraft in the background. They've got an upcoming air show here. We're watching some fighter jets off over the right field stands right now.
Yeah, saw a couple blimps earlier.
Big game, Jeff. 3-2 now at Reddick, a full count with Cespedes
the Oakland
on deck.
and Cleveland game. Usually you just send one blimp, but here you got the Oakland Cleveland game. You got two Goodyear blimps.
Jeff Nelson is working this game. We need 2 blimps. Full count on Reddick. And then another pop foul. Hannahan, the third baseman, will watch go into the seats. You're going to hear some Jets here in a moment. I had a chance once to go for the Blue Angels.
Did you really?
I didn't go.
Oh, I would have loved to do that. You know, I've sat in some F-17s, F-15s, and you know, it's not a good space for somebody at 6'6".
Another 3-2 pitch and a fly ball, right center field. Brantley and CHOO the right fielder, and on 3 balls hit in the air, Masterson gets the side in order. After a half inning, the Oakland Athletics failed to score. Cleveland Indians are coming up next. The Cleveland Indians are 20 games below 500 at 55-75, and their top 3 in the order here is struggling. Second baseman Jason Kipnis leads it off. Shortstop is ASDRUBAL Cabrera. He was an all-star again this year. SHIN-SOO CHOO in right field. Michael Brantley bats cleanup. Carlos Santana gets the job as the DH today. Casey KOTCHMAN back in at first base. EZEQUIEL CARRERA is in left field. Jack HANNAHAN, the third baseman, and batting ninth, the catcher, Lou Marson. Jared Parker's first pitch, low and away for ball 1. Kipnis with a count of 2-0. He's been struggling lately. And he takes it wide. I was here for the game last night, Jeff, and Kipnis, I don't know if it was different because actually a left-hander was starting last night, but Kipnis is, well, now he's gone back to that approach where he leaves the bat level with the field, and he looks at another called strike here. And the count is 3-1.
Well, he got off to a great start. I actually thought he was going to have an all-star appearance.
Here's a drive into deep right center. This ball is going to be gone for a leadoff home run. Jason Kipnis on a 3-1 pitch hits his 13th home run of the season. And the Cleveland Indians, who have had all kind of problems scoring in this series, take an early 1-0 lead as Kipnis hits one out on a 3-1 pitch.
Well, they've already done better than they did the last time they faced Parker. They didn't score any runs in 8 innings, and the leadoff hitter Kipnis, you see a 3-1 fastball up in the zone. It's all about early rhythm with these starters. And Kipnis hits it out to dead center field, right in about the 3rd row, 4th row. Out there over the Key Bank sign, right near the Indians bullpen.
CABRERA with a little, excuse me, swing bouncer to the right of the mound, and Parker throws him out for the first out. CABRERA, who got kicked out of the game early last night, got cheated there.
Exactly. He said, I'm not gonna let you ring me up. I'm gonna swing early.
That'll bring up SHIN-SOO CHOO. This guy is a very good player, but you hardly hear about him playing here in Cleveland.
He's outstanding. I got the opportunity when I was in Seattle. He was down in the minor leagues. Terrific guy, terrific player. And I think we talked about this in the beginning. You know, he's a 300 hitter if you put guys around him. I don't know if he's a guy that's going to be able to carry a lineup. But if you put guys around him, he's a terrific right fielder. Actually thought he's going to get traded at some point during the deadline. Still here in Cleveland. Could have a chance to get traded this winter, this offseason. But you know, a good complementary player. You'll see his numbers elevate and escalate when he goes, if he goes to another team where you see good quality hitters around them.
Parker, by trade, does not give up many home runs.
No, seven home runs and over about 133, 135 innings. So he keeps the ball in the ballpark, but it's all about getting ahead. And you see both pitchers early establishing their fastball. Not very many off-speed pitches, and here he quickly gets behind 3-0 to SHIN-SOO CHOO.
And they don't walk many, the Oakland staff, nor do they, as a staff, give up many home runs.
Well, 2nd in the league in pitching and 1st in the league in home runs not allowed or given up. So that's one of the reasons why they're here and in the lead and wild card, right? A game ahead of Baltimore. You have a game and a half over Tampa Bay, who is a half a game from the 2nd wild card spot.
CHOO takes strike 2, and that fills the count. He was ready to go down to first base.
Yeah, the ball caught an outside part of the plate. It's a good pitcher's pitch. You need that pitch. And plus, it's all about feeling, both starters trying to feel out what the strike zone is going to be like for the rest of the game.
Payoff pitch, a little changeup swung on and missed. And there's the first strikeout for Parker. Pretty good job of pitching there when you have the full count and you don't challenge him with a fastball.
Well, I probably learned from Kipnis, the 3-1 fastball, and he throws a great changeup down in the zone and gets CHOO swinging. Defense for the Oakland A's. Go around the outfield. Smith in left, Crisp in center, Reddick in right field, Donaldson at 3rd base. Drew from the Diamondbacks at short. Pennington, who the only guy that didn't get a hit yesterday in the lineup at 2nd base. Moss at 1st. Gutierrez behind the plate. And on the mound, Jared Parker.
Michael Brantley, the cleanup hitter, takes one low. He is not your typical American League number 4 hitter.
I can remember his dad out in Seattle when he played, when I was first going up through the minor league ranks.
Parker's next one, another changeup.
He's still a hitting coach out in San Francisco?
Not sure. Now, one of the scouts I talked to in the past week told me that Parker has a tendency to fall in love with the changeup. You still need that good fastball and with location with it.
He does, but he has a good one. We just saw 2 right in a row. One to CHOO to strike him out, and another one that Brantley was way out in front of. And that's you get ahead with your fastball, you can do a lot. And right now, over the last few years, even my last couple of years in the big leagues, the changeup has been that most. I think the equalizer that guys have. The guys that have great changeups and good location with their fastball, that a lot of times that's all you need. I mean, you can mix in a little breaking ball every now and then, but Parker, he'll like to double and triple up on that changeup. And if he gets that good downward motion, that good downward action like we've seen so far, he's had some success with that.
Well, there's a rarity, a walk by one of the Oakland pitchers. Brantley is aboard.
Well, he was behind Kipnis, the leadoff hitter, 3-1 before the home run. He was behind CHOO, and he just walked Brantley right there. So doesn't have great fastball control right now, has a good changeup. Sometimes you just need to stay back, stay over the rubber a little bit, let the ball go. Right now, a little bit of trouble in the 1st inning, all about rhythm.
Carlos Santana, a switch hitter. He's the DH today. Santana, more power from this side, the left side. There's 13 home runs, 9 of which have come batting left-handed. Brantley is a threat to run, draws a throw.
Yeah, Brantley with 12 stolen bases out of 20 attempts this year.
It's not a very good ratio, though.
No, it's not. You're getting caught 8 times, but you know what? If you're the Indians, you're not winning a lot of games. You need to make something happen on the base passes. They're 20 games under 500. They find themselves, what, 17 and a half back from the White Sox. Very disappointing compared to last year.
Santana got pulled from the ball game last night by manager Manny Acta. The quote that Acta had when asked about it, he said that we can be beaten, but we're not going to look beaten out there. Apparently he thought that Santana was slumping his shoulders and not quite into it.
Well, that's the thing. And, you know, with some of these young guys, you're going through a losing period. You're 20 games under 500. You're basically looking at the end of the season and say, okay, I got to plan some vacation time because we're not going anywhere. And it's important for the manager to set an example. I don't care if this is the last month, you have 32 games left or not. You got to grind this thing out for 162. Whether you're in last place, first place, whatever it is, I know players have a hard time to stay focused for 162 games, but when the team's going bad, you as a manager has to set an example. And, you know, it's got to be your way.
And even though Santana is still a relatively young player, he has to set an example as one of their best players.
Exactly.
Lays off that high one from Parker, who falls behind 2-1. And I get a feeling that if Brantley's going to run, he may do it here.
Yeah, the only thing is that Parker's been in trouble this first inning. You almost want to make him continue to get his pitch count up in the first inning. He hasn't been able to establish that good fastball yet.
Runner not going. There's a called strike, even at 2-2. And Santana wasn't quite sure about that one.
Yeah, a little change up in the zone. Kind of let her high. Evened up the count at 2-2. You might see another change up here. The last 2 that he struck out CHOO with was a nice down change up away.
Just missing inside, and that'll fill the count. And Brantley will be running with 2 down on a 3-2 pitch. The Blue Angels are here. That's the aircraft you hear in the background. They're part of the upcoming.
Now, why didn't you go up in those? You get an opportunity. I would have loved to go up.
Because they want to make you lose your lunch.
Oh, exactly.
They feed you lunch, and that's all right.
They want it splattered all over the window on the roof.
Terra firma. I love terra firma. First baseman Moss no longer holding the runner, with Brantley ready to run on this 3-2 pitch. And the runner goes. The pitch is ball 4. Back-to-back walks here. And this is not like Jared Parker.
No, it isn't, and you can see some adjustments by both sides so far in the first inning. Keep mentioning the October 19th. There's only 2 starts ago, so this is tough when you have the schedule the way it's played out, that you're seeing these teams right after. I mean, this is the only time Oakland has come, or is coming to Cleveland, and they're in a different division. This is tough, and you see Young out there talking to
Kurt Young, back as pitching coach here.
He's got 23 pitches. He's thrown about 21 fastballs, 20 fastballs, 3 changeups. And it's, you know, with these guys, he's had a very good year. And as a young starter, or any starter, even a veteran starter, it's all about early rhythm in that first inning. And this is where, if you can get 2 starters early, make their pitch counts, get up in that first inning, you're going to have some success against them. You just seen a home run by Kipnis and 2 straight walks by Parker.
Casey KOTCHMAN, a veteran first baseman. Started out in the Angels system. He's bounced around Atlanta, Boston, Tampa Bay.
Down year, hitting .235.
Takes one in the dirt. A good stop by the catcher, Kataris. He's back in there because Matt Laporta, who they want to take a long look at, and probably on his last opportunity here with Cleveland, was hit in the hand with a pitch last night, and he's probably sidelined today because of that problem with his hand. Again, here Parker falling behind one of these Cleveland hitters. Runner at second is Brantley. He can run. Santana, slow runner at first. Good off-speed pitch, and the count to KOTCHMAN evens at 1-1. It's funny how certain guys can handle certain pitchers. KOTCHMAN came up as a rookie with the Angels. Pedro Martinez was very good in those days. And this guy hit him like he owned Pedro.
I know, it's amazing. I mean, every pitcher has either a team or a player they just can't stand facing.
Parker's next one to KOTCHMAN is fouled back over the screen, and he's in a hole 1-2. So Parker can limit the damage here if he can dispatch the Cleveland first baseman.
Yeah, exactly. He had a good sequence. You know, I think Kurt Young went out there and told him a lot of times, you know, when you're wild with your fastball, you're having a hard time dialing it in the strike zone. usually tell them to, you know, throw a first pitch breaking ball, because usually you have to stay back, you have to get on top of that breaking ball to throw it for a strike. You threw it for a ball down and in, but sometimes it'll help you dial in your fastball a little bit.
A lot of hitting room in left center here for KOTCHMAN. A little bouncer to the right side. It will be fielded by the first baseman at the bag. Moss steps on, and that ends the inning. A run for the Cleveland Indians. They leave a pair. Jason Kipnis with a leadoff home run has the Indians on top after one. The Navy is here, and the Indians are on top. 1-0. Jason Kipnis will lead off home run in the bottom of the first. And now there's a task ahead for Justin Masterson. There's your lead, big boy. Hold him.
Yeah, exactly. There's your one run. The offense will say, what do you expect?
YOENIS Cespedes, right-handed hitting DH today for the Oakland Athletics.
And not just Oakland. I mean, he's been a big surprise to me. I didn't know how he was going to do in the major leagues as far as being adapted to the breaking ball, adapting to the fastball thrown inside. And, you know, he's having a very good year. He's second in most all of the rookie stats, right behind Mike Trout.
He played 8 years in Cuba, in the pro league over there, as he takes a called strike to even it at 1-1. And he hit 177 home runs while playing in Cuba.
Did you see that video? Did you see the video he had?
Yeah.
That he was trying to market over here? Oh, yeah. I'm like, okay, what was it like? all these strength feats?
Yeah. You can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
What, are we joining the circus?
Circus Soleil. 33 home runs last year in Cuba to set a league record for Cespedes. Chases one down and away, and the count evens at 2-2. And this guy has the chance, if he stays healthy, there's the key, if he stays healthy, to be a star in Major League Baseball. Yeah, some people question his lower body, that it may be prone to leg problems. He stays alive as he fouls one at the plate.
Yeah, he spent some time earlier this year on the DL, I think with a hand problem.
And a hamstring problem.
Yeah, and he tried coming back a little bit earlier, took BP, and re-injured it.
Cespedes, Smith, and Moss in this inning. If anybody gets on, Donaldson for Oakland. 1-0 Cleveland.
See Bob Melvin, my former manager.
He was with the Red Sox in '93 when I joined him. He was a catcher.
Yeah, I faced him then.
Did you?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
I think I owned him. I mean, he was like probably only 2 at-bats against him.
First strikeout for Masterson.
Well, he gets ahead 2-2, and there's that sinker down and away. I mean, you got him to swing and a miss at a 1-2 or a 2-1 pitch, and he got the 2-2 pitch the same place, 93 miles an hour. He's got a great sinker, and that's the thing. Just get ahead. I mean, he's got a great arm, and he's tough for a right-hander when you're coming 3/4 angle.
Seth Smith fouls one. First pitch swinging. Smith, who was on the disabled list earlier this month, he is in left field today. They play him to pull. They have the overshift on the infield. The shortstop to the right of second base. The lone infielder on the left side, third baseman Jack Hannahan.
As hard as Masterson throws, and you're going to see a lot of lefties. Lefties have always hit him well. You almost want to see him maybe come into spring training next year and work on some kind of changeup. I mean, you mentioned how good Parker's changeup is. If he can throw some kind of changeup, something even like a forkball down and away, it's going to help him against.
There's a drive. We may be tied here. This ball is off the top of the wall in right center. And into second base with his 18th double of the year is Seth Smith. That didn't miss by much of getting out of here.
No, it doesn't. The weather's perfect. The ball's carrying here in Cleveland. He gets a fastball up in the zone. He smacks it off in a right center gap. Here we see the ball just leaked out over. He missed his spot. He was supposed to go inside with that fastball, and it was up around his letters. He made him pay off the road about halfway up that wall.
First hit of the game for Oakland.
Breaks up the no-no. Second inning.
Brandon Moss playing first base today. This guy's been a pleasant surprise for them. He spent last year in the Phillies organization in the minors. 14 homers, 30 RBIs. And happy to do whatever he can. He says if the manager wants to play me, I'll be ready. If I don't get the playing time, I'll still be ready.
And we talked about Bob Melvin. That's what exactly he does. He's such a great players manager and good communicator. I mean, he pretty much maps out right before the game, even a couple days before, about where these guys are hitting and if they're playing. And as a player, you love it. I mean, if you get to, you don't always want to keep walking into a clubhouse and having to find the lineup and say, okay, am I in there? Where am I hitting? I mean, he does a great job of letting these guys know the night before, a couple days before, even on a plane ride into Cleveland. Okay, this is what you're going to be doing in this series.
Potential tying run at second as Moss bounces one off the roof of the first base dugout, occupied by his teammates for Oakland.
Good fastball up.
Nothing in two on this left-handed hitter. 14 home runs, as I mentioned, for Oakland this year. Prior to being called up, he had 15 home runs in the minors at AAA Sacramento, so he has some power. Up and away to make it 1-2. Josh Donaldson, the on-deck hitter. Again, the Indians play this left-handed batter to pull, although the shortstop CABRERA this time is still on the left side of the infield. Left fielder CARRERA well off the line and left. Slider down and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And everything with Masterson is hard. He's about 95 to 97 miles an hour, 93 to 97 miles an hour with his fastball. And he's about the upper 80s with his slider. So everything that the hitters are seeing is hard, hard, hard. He really doesn't have a great off-speed pitch. And here you get quickly ahead 0-2, and you're all of a sudden searching for something to try to put him away with.
That fills the count to 3-2 as Masterson misses down and in.
I mean, both sides, you really haven't seen the catchers move that much. Emil's strike zone is really small. He hasn't been given the inside part of the plate so far to either side.
Payoff pitch. And a fly ball down the left field line, sliced out of play. Brandon Moss is from Loganville, Georgia. That's where he makes his home. He was born in Monroe, Georgia. Been in the big leagues. The Red Sox, Pirates, the Phillies, and now Oakland. Signed as a minor league free agent last November by Oakland. Hard ground ball to first, fielded by KOTCHMAN. The runner moves to third as Moss is out 3 unassisted. Wrong place to hit it. If you hit it at Casey KOTCHMAN, he's one of the best fielding first basemen. Here comes Donaldson, Josh Donaldson, who came to the plate with 2 on last night. And his team down 2-0. Got a 3-2 pitch from Kluber and hit it out to the home run porch and left. And that put Oakland on top. The Athletics were never hit it after that. This guy's been terrific since coming back from the minor leagues. Hitting .351 with 10 RBIs since his recall from Sacramento. Runner at third and a called strike.
You can see it's not a very comfortable at bat from the right side against Masterson with that 95-mile-an-hour sinker coming in on the hands of the righties. It's almost you see these guys bail. Don't want to hit it off the end of the bat or get jammed.
That misses wide, and it evens at 1-1. There are 2 out here with the potential tying run at third.
This pitch kind of coming back off the outside part of the plate, just down.
Donaldson takes it over but low, and it's 2-1. 20 pitches for Mr. Masterson here in the second inning, so the Athletics are making him work.
Yeah, he's 5th in the league in walks. Masterson is with 72.
There's a called strike. Continues to work Donaldson away.
Nice fastball on the outside part of the plate.
That delivery, he's a slinger out there, isn't he, Masterson?
He is, and he drives the ball. He's got great lower body. He used a lot of legs.
And a foul out of play down the right field line. 1-0 Cleveland. They have Seth Smith III with 2 out here.
Yeah, you would think as nasty as he is, and his ball, as much as his ball moves, he'd be pitching more inside to righties. He's doing a great job of getting in on lefties.
The 2-2 pitch. A little high with that off-speed delivery. Got to fill the count to 3-2 with left-handed hitting catcher George Kataris on deck. There's a look at Masterson and that slinging approach.
Almost jumps back, kind of recoils in a sense.
Comes the payoff pitch. And a ground ball by the mound, a play for Kipnis. That will get the Indians out of the inning. But they had to, sure, Maniac had to hold his breath there for just a second. The A's leave the potential tying run at third. And after 2, 1-0 Cleveland. The Oakland starter today is 24-year-old Jared Parker from Fort Wayne, Indiana. This year he's beaten Cleveland once, Boston twice. He's beaten the Rangers, Yankees, Rockies, Mariners. In Minnesota he's lost to the Tigers, Giants, Diamondbacks, his old club, Seattle, Tampa Bay, the Angels, and at Kansas City. He had Tommy John surgery in 2009, missed the entire 2010 season. Gets ahead of Ezequiel Carrera, the left-handed hitting left fielder for Cleveland, with an off-speed pitch.
Yeah, doesn't everybody have Tommy John now?
Yeah. What's the chances that Tommy John had Tommy John surgery?
I think very good.
Carrera takes strike 2. Bottom 3 in the order here for the Indians in the bottom of the second. Carrera, then the third baseman Jack HANNAHAN, and the catcher Lou Marson. If anybody gets on, back to the top, and Jason Kipnis, who has put a run on the board for Cleveland with a leadoff home run at the bottom of the first. Carrera recently called up from the minors. Keep this guy off the bases. He can really run. But he doesn't like the off-speed stuff, does he? He becomes the second strikeout victim for Jared Parker.
Nice good changeup down in the zone. It's 2 in a row by Parker. You see him ahead 1-2, and he drops that changeup, stays on top of it, almost like painting. They tell you to, like a paintbrush.
Barker made his major league debut with the Diamondbacks last year. Former first-round draft choice for Arizona, 2007, the 9th overall pick. Made his debut with the Diamondbacks last year. Start against the Dodgers did not figure in the decision. He faces Jack HANNAHAN, who shows bunt, takes it inside and low.
Yeah, he owns the National League. He hasn't given up a run.
Hardly seems democratic, does it? It's not very nice. HANNAHAN, a good fielding third baseman without much power. Miles went out of play, and the County wins with a ball and a strike. HANNAHAN has bounced around. He has been with Detroit, Seattle, Red Sox minor league system, Oakland, used to play for the A's, now Cleveland. Takes it outside and low. The Blue Angels flying over.
Yeah, they're fun to see. Living out in Seattle, they have Seafair. They have the big hydroplanes out on Lake Washington, and they have a big air show as well, and the Blue Angels come out there.
And I look down in Houston. They have an air show every year. That's where I had the chance to go up with them.
Really?
But again, no mas. No thanks.
I got the opportunity to go. I went to Iraq and Afghanistan on a goodwill tour, and we went flying back from Baghdad. We were in the C-17.
Base hit to center field for HANNAHAN, the second hit of the game for Cleveland. He's aboard with Lou Marson coming up. By the way, I need to salute you too, because you recently paid your 4th visit to St. Jude Children's Hospital in Memphis. That's terrific.
It's amazing. You see a pitch on the outer part of the plate, and when you're behind, you have a hard time controlling your fastball. That's what happens. The base hit right up the middle. Yeah, what outstanding. You know, this was my 4th time. I got a tour of St. Jude the first time, and I'm not real good with hospital visits. When you have 4 healthy kids, you can't imagine what the parents go through and what the kids are feeling like. And the last 3 times is basically we signed some autographs this year. Frank Thomas and I went there, and just to see the smiles on the kids' faces and the upbeat attitudes from the parents, the staff there and the nurses and just the people that work at the hospital make these kids and the parents, you know, the best possible place that they can be. I mean, they have
but good medicine too, with guys like Frank Thomas visiting. They're putting the smile on their faces. That helps too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Frank Thomas had a hard time. He lost his sister when he was real young.
This may be a double play. Whoa, almost threw that one away, and they still turn it. Donaldson to Pennington to Moss, 5-4-3. The A's tried to botch that double play, but it's going their way right now. They turn the inning ending around the horn double play. So, officially after 2 innings, it's still Cleveland 1, the Oakland Athletics nothing on a Jason Kipnis leadoff home run in the first. There's a young man having a good time here at Progressive Field in Cleveland. We're on hand For the Cleveland Indians and the Oakland Athletics, the fourth and final game of this four-game series. And again, some of our military Marines on hand here. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service. With former Major League pitcher Jeff Nelson, I'm Jerry Trupiano. It's 1-0. Indians on top as we move to the third, and the number 8 hitter for Oakland, George Kottaras, a left-handed hitting catcher, to face Justin Masterson. He looks at a called strike. Still the best pitch in baseball, as we've said several times
strike
today.
One.
The fastball for a strike. Strike one overall. I guess it doesn't matter how you get it as long as you get it. Kottaras with a bouncer, fielded nicely by KOTCHMAN. Pitcher covers. 3-1 on the out. It really makes a difference. It's underappreciated. A defensive first baseman. When you have a good one, it saves you a lot of wear and tear, a lot of heartache. If you have a bad one, you guys have to usually make some more pitches.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a guy like KOTCHMAN that covers a lot of ground. Usually first baseman will let those balls go. You see the Kipnis, the second baseman, probably could have had that either, might have as well, but might have been a tougher play. But KOTCHMAN got it and was able to get him out, and Masterson did a great job of covering first base.
With Pennington, the second baseman, takes one down and in, a switch hitter. 3 home runs, 18 RBIs, hitting below the Mendoza line at 194.
We talked earlier about you not wanting to go up in those Blue Angels, and when we were coming down from Baghdad and we were going into Kuwait and the C-17, these guys had to do a combat landing, and I know what you mean, because your head and the blood just rushes straight through, and it's like you can't even move, and for like 30 seconds to a minute, it feels like you're just really lightheaded, and I can't imagine being up there for what, about a half hour with them or so. I would love to do it. If I'm losing lunch, I don't care.
Pennington out of Texas A&M University watches it go wide. It's 3-1. You feel lightheaded. I call that Tuesday.
Is that what it is?
More of our sailors on hand here at Progressive Field. There's a fly ball into right field for SHIN-SOO Choo on the track. Reaches for the wall, shy of the wall. He collects it for the second out. Ball by Pennington. It doesn't have much pop. Might have hit it down near the end of the bat. Didn't sound very good coming off the bat.
No, it didn't. He gets a fastball, a 3-1 fastball up in the zone. Good pitch to hit, just got under it.
Brandon Moss, Josh Reddick, they get that pitch. We have a tie game.
Yeah, Pennington frustrated. The only guy who didn't get a hit yesterday.
Coco Crisp squibs one off the left side. He was retired on a pop to Kipnis, the second baseman, his first time up. Here's a guy that their manager Bob Melvin feels as Chris broke his bat. Here's a guy that Bob Melvin feels really helps make their club go. He has had some very big hits for them.
Absolutely, and his name was thrown around the trade deadline in July, and possibly going somewhere. A contending team that needed a leadoff guy in center field. 4th in the league in stolen bases with 29. Veteran player's been around a while.
Occasional power, 8 home runs. The only thing he can't do is throw. He's got a very weak throw.
Most center fielders can't. They can run the ball down, but you need about 5 cutoff guys to get it to the infield.
There's a fly ball into right field, well hit. I think we have a tie game, and darn if we don't. Coco Crisp, his 9th of the year. What did I say about occasional power?
Occasional power, there it is.
That is number 9 for Crisp. It came on an 0-1 pitch. It's a good thing he got a new bat. That home run is the 15th hit off Justin Masterson.
Well, again, you get an 0-1 fastball. Masterson missed his location. It was just up enough that Crisp was able to handle it and hit it in the left field bullpen. Stephen
Drew.
Right field.
Fouls it out of play. He popped to the shortstop his first time. 143 home runs now for the Oakland Athletics, so they have a little power to go along with the rest of their offense, which is not great by any stretch of the imagination. The called strike here makes it 0-2. They have a lot of pitching and just enough offense so far to lead the wild card race.
Yeah, we talked about their schedule going forward, and that's one thing they're going to have to continue to pitch. They have a lot of good young pitching, but you kind of hope like the offense will come around at some point. 13th in the league in hitting. Runs scored, their 12th. This series they've done a pretty good job against the Indians. At least you know what they're doing is they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat.
Yeah, and you got to do that. You got to do that. Drew, recently acquired from Arizona, J.D. Drew's brother. Watches one go up and away. This guy had a very serious ankle injury that sidelined him for most of last year, and he really hasn't bounced back with the way that Arizona had hoped. Now he finds himself wearing the Oakland uniform.
Well, Oakland's done a good enough job to pick up some of these players that helped them along the way and helped them to get to where they are now.
This to me,
give them second life.
This to me is more of a Moneyball team than the team that they made the movie about. Pop up, third baseman shielding his eyes. Hannahan on the outfield grass has it, and that ends the inning. But Oakland pulls even thanks to Coco Crisp, who hit number 9 and ties it at 1 after 2.5 innings here at Progressive Field. Each team with a run, each team with 2 hits. Oakland tied it on the Coco Crisp home run here in the top of the 3rd. But Jason Kipnis put Cleveland on the board in the very first inning, leading off with the home run, which was his 13th of the year. Kipnis now to lead it off in the bottom of the 3rd. It's an off-speed pitch, and that's over for a called strike. Kipnis, Cabrera, and CHOO. If anybody gets on, Brantley to hit here against Jared Parker. Started to go, lead off a pitch down and in. That looked like a slider, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked like, well, you know, he started out with a changeup up in the zone for strike 1, and that you know, Emil's got a tight zone. Both sides hitting the inside part of the plate, not getting it called.
First baseman Boss to the pitcher covering. Not the prettiest of 3-1 outs, but effective.
And you see the second time around the lineup what Parker has done. Matches Kipnis has seen some off speed. A lead off first pitch changeup, gets a fastball inside, and right there a breaking ball that he hits the first base.
The old cliche about pitching, it's like real estate, location.
Exactly. Still hasn't established his fastball, although I think he's been hitting some parts of the plate that he just hasn't got some strikes called for him.
ASDRUBAL Cabrera retired on a comebacker to the right of the mound his first time, a little check swing, looks at ball 1 inside. Cabrera's been struggling. They think that some leg problems have slowed him down in the second half.
We look at last year. Last year he had a tremendous first half, made the All-Star team, and kind of fell off in the second half. They signed him to that deal thinking that, okay, maybe he's going to put together a whole season, and, you know, kind of has done similar this year as well.
He's ahead on the count, 3-0. Some hitters like to swing on 3-0, others do not. We'll find out about Cabrera here. Takes a called strike. A lot of times guys will just zero in on one location. If it's there,
right,
they'll get after it. 1-3-1, Cabrera takes ball 4, and that's the 3rd walk for Jared Parker. Glad we talked at the start about how few people the Athletics pitchers walk.
Yeah, exactly. We just jinxed them.
Here's SHIN-SOO CHOO, who struck out his first time up. CABRERA and first base coach Tom Wiedenbauer visit. Their third base coach is Steve Smith for Cleveland, manager Manny Acta. Hear a lot of good things about Manny Acta. So he's a very nice guy.
Yeah, I've got the opportunity to meet him a few times. He is. He's got to be a good players manager too. It's a shame last year had some injuries. They did really well. Even this year, they found themselves about 2 to 3 games back right at the All-Star break. But after the All-Star break has not been good for the Indians. They've really been playing some bad baseball, not getting very good run support, not getting a lot of pitching.
Fouled out of play and choose in a hole, nothing in 2.
11-34 since the All-Star break, Cleveland is.
They were doing well this year at the start against Oakland, but since then gone south against the Athletics. He takes one up and in on an 0-2 pitch.
They've got a lot of good young players that are forced into positions that they're probably not used to. You know, you just mentioned Brantley hitting 4th. I mean, he's not a 4-hole hitter. He's got hitting 287. He's got a decent average, but you're looking for your 4-hole hitter to have double digits in home runs. And you know, CHOO, I mean, he's been bounced around all the lineup, and you know, he's led off at times this year. He's hit 3rd and 4th, so it's hard when you don't have a consistent lineup. KOTCHMAN's a 300 hitter hitting 235, so you're not getting a lot of offense.
1-2 the count on CHOO with the runner going, and the pitch is high. The throw is off target. A stolen base for CABRERA, his 7th. He is in scoring position as the count to CHOO evens at 2-2. So CABRERA with the 7th steal of the year, 86th steal of the season. For the Indians, who don't run all that much.
They don't, but Parker's, you know, more worried about throwing strikes right now and trying to establish his fastball. He's missing bad with his fastball, you know, even to the second time around, and CABRERA caught him falling asleep. Doesn't have a great move, a big leg kick, so he's very slow to the plate.
Pennington throws CHOO out as CABRERA goes to 3rd. With 2 down, Michael Brantley will have a chance. Now, something to consider. Parker has thrown 7 wild pitches this year, so it may look like a little thing with 2 out here to have that guy at 3rd, but now a guy who can on occasion be wild.
And that's probably because of his changeup. You know, he likes to bounce that thing.
Well, if they were sleeping in the stands, they're awake
now. Not anymore.
Brantley takes a pitch down. I feel like I'm back at Shea Stadium in the National League doing games.
Yeah, LaGuardia Airport, huh?
Used to watch people's lost luggage fly by.
Was that luggage?
Brantley drew a walk his first time. Hits it in the air for Smith, the left fielder, drifting to his right. Squeezes it, and the Indians waste the scoring opportunity here. The walk harmless, the stolen base harmless, and we've got 3 innings in the book. We have a tie game, 1-1 at Progressive Field. Cleveland fans are waiting for something to cheer about. They've had their team not play very well recently. They're waiting. Well, there's
that guy's
a trip to the dentist coming up soon.
Yeah, he's going to be cheering in about another half hour when all that sugar starts kicking in.
Josh Reddick leads it off in the fourth for Oakland in this 1-1 game. Reddick retired on the fly ball to right his first time. Takes a breaking pitch for a called strike. We've talked about pitching. We've talked about hitting. Used to come in here and see the Cleveland Indians in the mid-'90s, and they had Albert Bell and Manny Ramirez and Jim Thome pop up on the infield. Second baseman Kipnis at the edge of the infield grass makes the catch for the first out. You know, Sandy Alomar Jr., Roberto Alomar, Kenny Lofton. They had so much hitting, but they never had that guy at the front of the rotation. They had serviceable pitchers, Charles Nagy, Dennis Martinez at the end, Oral Hershiser at the end, but they never had a Roger Clemens, Mike Messina, Pedro Martinez. They never had that guy at the front of the rotation.
They had some dangerous hitters. But even in their bullpen, they really never had that established guy. Their whole pitching staff, I mean, that's one thing you can, I mean, you look at the Texas Rangers as well in the mid-'90s when they had the, you know, murderers row over there. Same thing. They never really, and they got to the playoffs. The same thing with Cleveland. Cleveland got to the playoffs because of their hitters. And they never really had the pitching to go any further. Texas was the same way. Until these last couple of years, you've seen Texas develop some pitching, and it's really got them to the World Series the last couple of years.
Cespedes ahead on the count now, 2-0. He struck out his first time.
And Cleveland goes to the World Series in '95 and loses to the Braves, and then they go to the World Series again in '97 and lose to the Marlins. And just like you mentioned,
base hit by Cespedes, the third of the game for Oakland, and he's aboard with one out with Seth Smith coming up, and he had a double his first time. Cespedes, don't go to sleep with him at first base. He has a dozen steals.
You see all those Central Division champs, and they were the team. You know, they had great lineups. Great
minor league system to develop.
They did. They went out. I mean, you go out and get Dave Winfield, you get a Travis Fryman, and you know you have some great players come through the Indies. Back then when they were getting consecutive sellouts, I remember coming here and there was 500 and some days that they sold out. I mean, this is a great place to come. I mean, they have some of the tougher fans. Being out in the bullpen, I mean, it's not a walk in the park when you're warming up. There you go, 455 straight days they sold out.
The Indians are 31-34 at home. Masterson falls behind Seth Smith.
We always thought they were doing something out there in center field with those cameras.
Those cameras, so well. Several clubs thought that.
Isn't that the excuse, though? I mean, you come in when teams have great home records, okay, they got to be doing something. If I'm a pitcher, I'm getting hit, they're doing something. They're stealing something.
Cloak and dagger.
Yeah.
And even if they're not, if they're in your head, you're thinking about it.
Right.
That helps them.
Well, you got to make it. I mean, if things aren't going well, it's always something else. Your equipment, your shoes, it's never you.
That guy might be their secret agent.
He was there since the old ballpark.
4-pitch walk to Seth Smith, and Masterson's working himself into a little trouble here. Cespedes to second on the walk to Smith. That's the first pass issued by Masterson.
Well, he gets an early out on Reddick with a fastball up, and he just jammed him, and he pops out to first base, and all of a sudden he gives up another fastball to Cespedes for a base hit, and then he walks Seth Smith, getting in trouble here.
Mentioned earlier, Masterson is a ground ball pitcher by trade. He could use a double play ball here with Brandon Moss up, who bunts to first his first time. Cespedes at second, Smith at first, and a breaking ball taken for a strike.
See, it's 83 miles an hour slider, and it's that's one thing when you're a three-quarter type delivery guy, you get men in scoring position, and all of a sudden you're facing lefties. You got to try to mix it up. He's the second time around the lineup.
Moss was driven in 30 runs. Has 2 aboard here, and there's a fly ball to center field, drifting back as Brantley makes the catch. Cespedes tags. He'll scoot to third. Smith stays at first. So runners at the corners. Moss retired on a fly ball to fairly deep center to Michael Brantley. And that'll leave it up to Josh Donaldson. And I think Bob Melvin would be happy to have this guy at the plate. He's been hot, as I mentioned, since his recall from Sacramento. He was a hitting Star here last night with a 3-run homer.
Yeah, and that took the lead for him, and I'm sure Melvin's looking for the same thing right here. Got Cespedes on third.
Donaldson retired on a ground ball to second his first time. Makes a breaking pitch outside low. The infield is playing Donaldson to pull. The outfield, they're straight away in center and in right. The left fielder, Carrera, a step or two towards left center. Next one to him, swing and a miss. Another speed pitch.
Well, as hard as Masterson's throwing, it's a little odd that the second baseman, Kipnis, is playing up the middle.
A lot of hitting room through that right side with KOTCHMAN holding the runner on.
Yeah.
Still tied at 1 here, but a 2-out threat for Oakland. Runners at the corners. Masterson working from the stretch. This is outside low again. If you're Manny Acta and things have been going badly for your club for a good stretch of time here, you hate to see a hot hitter at the plate and your pitcher behind him on the count.
Yeah, exactly, because it's a here we go again type thing.
Donaldson waiting on a 2-1 pitch. Missing badly. It's 3-1.
And here you're trying to get almost too much of a sink on your fastball, and those last 2 pitches from Masterson, he's nice and balanced, and all of a sudden he speeds up his windup at the end. His front shoulder flies open, and that's one of the reasons why is those 2 pitches are on the outside part of the plate and down.
To me, a walk here wouldn't be the worst thing. You got a light hitting catcher coming up next and a hot hitter well hit on the count here, and he misses high to walk him, and that'll load the bases. I know it looks bad, but if you've got a catcher, a left-handed hitter, even though he's a left-handed hitter coming up who's been struggling, and this guy's hot, why challenge him?
Right, exactly, and it's not a bad thing. You know, you want to try to keep the score 1-1, get your guys back in the dugout and see what can happen. Parker hasn't been actually, you know, in control of the game. He's had a hard time with his fastball command, but right now in this inning, so is Masterson.
Ruben Niebla, the pitching coach, coming out for a visit. Scott Radinsky started the year as the pitching coach for Cleveland, but he was dismissed early on. They signed veterans like Derek Lowe, Johnny Damon, and Jose Lopez, and when they didn't pan out, they cut the cord with those guys, and they brought up some younger players, and it really hasn't gotten any better.
No, it hasn't, but you know, you bring in the veteran players early to try to, you know, you want to win some games, you want to be in the standings, you want to see how the young guys, you know, can get mentored by the veteran players, and all of a sudden after the first half, when things don't work out, you know you're not going anywhere in the division, you might as well see what you have in the minor league system. You might as well let these guys do some things and do some positive things up here instead of being in AAA.
Bases loaded here for Oakland. At third base, Cespedes. Smith at second. Donaldson, the man aboard at first. 0-1 on George Kataris. The count evens 1-1. Kataris, 1 home run, 3 runs batted in. They acquired him from Milwaukee late in July. The right-handed pitcher Faustino de los Santos. With the bases loaded, Kataris lines a base hit into right center. That scores Cespedes. Here comes Smith. That gets into the alley. They're going to wave the runner home, Donaldson, and the throw to the plate offline. A 3-run double for Kataris, and just like that, Oakland is on top 4-1 as George Kataris, who came in with 3 RBIs in the season, drives in 3 here to make it 4-1 Oakland.
Well, we mentioned about the fastball location. Here we go. We get a fastball down in the zone, and Kataris does a great job of going down and getting it and hitting it in right center field, just deep enough that it scores all 3. And everything with Masterson's been hard. His breaking ball's got little short breaking balls for hard, and for lefties, there you go. You have a hard time trying to find in clutch situations with runners in scoring position that out pitch.
Just the second extra base hit of the season for Kataris in an Oakland uniform.
Well, this is the script of Oakland, and everything's worked out for them. You're talking about an offense that's second to last in the league, and they've come in here, scored 8 runs last night and 4 already, and we're only in the 4th.
Cliff Pennington, who flied to right his first time on a deep fly ball, is ahead 2-0 here. Well, the strategy of not challenging Donaldson may have been sound, but the execution coming after Kataris didn't work out. Foul tip to the catcher's mitt.
Well, walks will kill you. You walk 2 in that inning, and both of them come around to score. If you look at the pitchers' stats at the end of the year, and you look at earned runs, and you look at how many they've walked, it's very, very similar. Within, I would say, 5, or if not equal.
Pennington with a drive to deep right. This is going to go for a 2-run homer. Pennington has made it a 5-run inning, his 4th home run of the year. And just like that, the Athletics have jumped on the Cleveland Indians and have taken a 6-1 lead. That came on a 2-1 pitch. Again, Masterson falling behind a hitter and paying the price. Pennington, a 2-run homer, a 5-run 4th, 6-1 Oakland.
Well, that's just when you don't have any kind of off speed to get out these lefties. Another down and in fastball. I don't care how hard you throw, it'll go. These big league hitters will catch up to a 95 to 97 mile an hour fastball. If he continues to stay as a starter, I mean, he was so good as a reliever when he was in Boston. He comes to Cleveland, they made him a starter. He had a decent year last year. He's been banged around a little bit this year, but he needs to work on some kind of off speed, especially coming from the 3/4 angle against some of these lefties, because when you're a starter, you're going to see a lot of lefties.
Coco Crisp into left center. Brantley, the center fielder, has it, and the inning is over. The Indians send 8 men to the plate in the top of the 4th. They plate 5 of them. They played 3.5 at Progressive Field. 6-1 Athletics. With Jeff Nelson, I'm Jerry Trupiano. We go to the last of the 4th. It was a 5-run top of the 4th inning for Oakland. Manny Acta, the manager of the Cleveland Indians, has seen his starting pitcher, Justin Masterson, fall behind by 5. And now Santana will lead it off for Cleveland in the bottom of the 4th against Jared Parker, who misses inside. Santana drew a walk his first time. Now, anything, Jeff, could happen in this ball game. But you look at the Cleveland lineup, they really don't look like they have the kind of lineup to build a big comeback. Again, anything can happen, though. And
yeah, you're right. Anything can happen, but also mentally. You know, mentally, you just mentioned Santana yesterday getting pulled from the game because maybe just a lack of focus and not dogging it, but, just going through this long season of losing.
Here we go again.
Yeah, it is. And I'm sure the whole dugout's doing the same thing. And, Masterson, the last time he faced Oakland, he gave up 7 runs. He's given up 6 already in 4 innings. And, as a lineup, you don't have a lot of fighting. And when you're constantly losing and you're in that light at the end of the tunnel as far as the season ending's right there, This is a great opportunity for some of these Cleveland players, especially some of the young ones, to finish up strong. And you know, this is all about next year as well. I mean, they're not going to the playoffs. There's no October hopes for them. But it's all about, you know, let's play for next year. I want to finish up strong as a player now, but also for next year.
Into left field, the shortstop Drew ranges a good piece out into left field over near the line to make the play. That was a good play by J.D. Drew's brother, Stephen Drew.
Yeah, that was. Because
How's that for a recovery?
Yeah, there you go. I think Smith had a hard time picking that up, the left fielder for Oakland, and Drew did a great job. A good running catch, covered a lot of ground.
Looked like he was running a pass pattern there.
But here's an opportunity for Jared Parker to come out. He's got a 5-run lead to start establishing that fastball. Get ahead of guys. Masterson threw 26 pitches that inning. Get him back on the mound as quick as possible. Get the A's back in the dugout and start hitting again.
KOTCHMAN, who bounced to first his first time, looks at a called strike. He shoots one down the left field line, sliced foul, and it's 0-2. The Indians moving forward. Okay, they're building ahead now for 2013. If you want to assess them as an outsider looking in, you figure that they have a chance to be strong up the middle with Santana behind the plate,
right.
Cabrera at short, Kipnis, if he can put together two halves at second base, Brantley in center field. CHOO is likely gone, so right field's going to be a question. Ground ball for the first baseman. It's a foul ball. First base, third base, left field, also a question for them. They lack power at those positions. The pitching staff, starters in the bullpen, question mark. So there's a lot of holes to fill here in Cleveland if you're looking at 2013.
There is, and that's why it's so important for some of these guys to finish up strong. It's not just the rest of this year, but going through the winter and see what the Indians are going to do. You look at how good the White Sox have been this year, how good the Tigers going out to spend money. You know, you're not going to see the Indians spend a whole lot of money in the wintertime.
Pop up on the infield. This one will be easier for Drew near the second base bag for the second out. How about the Orioles this year? The job Dan Duquette has done there.
Exactly. You know, they picking up Joe Saunders. He had his first start last night from the Diamondbacks, got banged around a little bit. They're going to sign Randy Wolf. They're going to a big series against the Yankees this week, and then all of a sudden the following week they got a 4-game homestand against the Yankees, and that'll be it for the rest of the year. But you know, another team that pretty similar to what Oakland has done. Nobody expected either one of these teams to be in a pennant race at this time of the year, and both of them are in a pennant race. You know, I don't know who you praise more about what they've done. But what the Orioles have done, they've had outstanding bullpen that really carried them in the first half when their pitching staff, their starting staff, was really struggling.
Carrera tries to bunt his way on. He was a strikeout victim his first time. Then you have the Tampa Bay Rays. They did a terrific job of drafting over the years.
Well, when you come in last place, it helps.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Look at the Nationals.
But how about the job that Joe Madden has done, putting a bullpen together there year after year?
Well, Fernando Rodney, I mean, he's had his opportunities to close before when he was in Detroit, and never really was that guy that you said, okay, I'm going to hand the ball, and he's my constant closer year after year. And he had an all-star appearance this year, and he's had a tremendous year for the Rays. I mean, Kyle Farnsworth has never been able to be a closer, and he was their closer last year, and did an outstanding job. And they had that big comeback in September to grab a playoff spot.
Pitch goes wide. Chris Antonetti is the general manager of the Cleveland Indians. He was asked by a writer recently, what's gone wrong with this ball club? How did this happen? How did you guys get here? I'll read you a quote here in a minute. Pitch is up and away. Quoting Chris Antonetti, it's difficult to pinpoint any particular reason, but we've given up too many runs and scored too few runs. In the end, that's a bad combination.
That is a bad combination.
That kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Captain Obvious.
There's a line drive base hit into right by Carrera. Here's a guy maybe that they can build on if he can become that sort of on-base guy with his speed, put him up near the top of the lineup. They're hitting him down in the lineup right now. I'm sure they don't want to put too much pressure on him.
Right, and like we mentioned earlier, a lot of these guys are being forced into situations that they probably shouldn't be in spots in the lineup they shouldn't be in, RBI pressure situations that they shouldn't be in. So, you know, when you mentioned the 90s, back then when they had Tomei and they had some young players, well, they had tons of guys around them, the Albert Bells, that could take pressure off of these young guys that they didn't have to produce. They could relax because they knew they had the 3, 4, 5 guys in a Sandy Alomar or a Roberto Alomar. You had Jim Tomei, Manny Ramirez. You had guys that take pressure off the young guys. They don't have that right now. They didn't have it last year. They don't have it now. So you're forcing a lot of young players to hit in spots that they probably shouldn't be hitting in right now.
Jack Hannahan, the hitter, falls behind 0-2.
Well, we saw Masterson with 2 outs give up 5 runs last inning. It's the toughest out to get is sometimes that 3rd out. You kind of relax a little bit after you get in the first 2. And next thing you know, you turn around and give up a 5 spot. It's exactly what Parker doesn't want to happen. He gets 2 quick outs and gives up a base hit to Carrera. He kind of want to end this right here.
Carrera draws a throw. And pitching in the American League is so different with the 8-9 hitters as opposed to the National League, right?
It is. I mean, you don't have any easy outs. I mean, look at all the guys that go from the American League to the National League and pitch, and you know, the success that they have. For one, you can make some mistakes because you have that 8-hole hitter that you can pitch to. You have the pitcher that you can pitch to. A lot of times you'll see lineups you don't have to worry about the 3, 4, 5 hitters, and that's about it. The American League, you don't have outs. You don't have a lot of easy outs. I mean, you'll have clubs that struggle. You'll have clubs that you have a hard time scoring some runs. But as a pitcher, you have to concentrate all the time because you don't have easy outs. You don't have to worry about, okay, the pitcher's hitting 9th. I can pitch around the 8-hole hitter.
There goes the runner. Pitches outside and low. The throw down is not in time, and Carrera gets his 4th stolen base.
Well, Parker's got a very slow delivery to the plate. You see that he lifts his leg. He's really not worried about the runner at first. You're going to get great jumps and a lot of stolen bases off of Parker. He really doesn't pay too much attention to the runners at first.
Here's where you really need a 2-out hit by Hannahan to strike them on the way back. He's not a power guy, but you'd like to get this guy in from second base. And the Indians have been struggling with runners in scoring position this homestand. Here's a little looper, center field, base hit. There's a 2-out hit. Here comes Carrera, and it's 6-2 as the Indians pull within 4. Hannahan gets his 24th RBI, a little soft single on a soft line into center field. Hannahan, 24 RBIs on the season, so Carrera, a 2-out hit, a stolen base.
It really wasn't that bad of a pitch.
Yeah, on this homestand, they were 0 for 48, or 2 for 48 with runners in scoring position. They were 0 for their last 24 in this series as far as runners in scoring position. But now, Hannahan delivers.
Well,
that's
Parker,
coming into the game, by the way.
Exactly. Parker, 2-2 changeup, probably just stayed up just a little bit, just enough for Hannahan to be able to handle that and punch it into center field.
Marson hit into a 5-4-3 double play his first time. Light hitting catcher. No home runs, 11 RBIs. This guy's a very good defensive catcher, but doesn't have much in the way of being a threat at the plate. Pitches outside and low, and it's 1-0. Of course, anybody with a bat can be dangerous.
Gets his time behind the plate, a day game after a night game.
Out of the Phillies organization, Lou Marson. Hannahan draws a throw. Hannahan has tried to steal twice this year, been caught both times. Parker paying attention. Marson takes a strike on the outside part.
Good fastball by Parker.
They say Marson lacks bat speed. It's called slider bat speed.
That means you don't want to throw him a changeup and speed up his bat. Give him anything to hit. Stay hard.
There's a called strike with a pitcher over the outside part. So you got to throw him a slider and he got it over the outside corner. Location, location, location. The Indians get a run. We've played 4. 6-2 Oakland.
We've had Blue Angels in the sky. We've had home runs hit here. And we have a 6-2 ball game with young fans on hand at Progressive Field. Oakland leading Cleveland. And Stephen Drew leads off the fifth for the Athletics. 0 for 2. He's popped to short. He's popped to third. And Justin Masterson, the Cleveland starter, still on the hill. There's a line drive base hit into right center field. So the Athletics put their leadoff man on for the first time today with their 6th hit of the ball game.
I think you see some action in the Cleveland bullpen here soon. Master's been missing with his fastball location. Everything's been hard. He's not getting that call on the inside part of the plate. Emel's been very tight for both sides, so neither has really gotten that inside fastball. The lefty's called for a strike. They've hit that corner pretty consistently and nothing, so that kind of opens up the plate for some of these hitters, and Masterson's been paying for it.
Chris Seddon looks like he's going to get ready, a right-hander. There's a shot by Reddick down the right field line, but he pulled it foul. Reddick is 0 for 2 in the game. This Oakland club leading the wild card race by a full game over Baltimore. Tampa Bay is a game and a half back. Detroit 3 back. The Angels, a disappointment to this point, 4.5 back in the American League wild card race.
Yeah, as good as the Angels, as much money as they spent.
By the way, Seddon's a left-hander. My bad. Here's a line shot pulled foul, a broken bat for Josh Reddick.
Did a breaking ball up in the zone and snapped.
Did you ever play with Johnny Damon? I know you played against him.
I played against him when he was with Cleveland, Boston.
You ever see a guy break more bats than Johnny Damon?
No. A lot of firewood.
Yeah. Those thin handles that the players use today.
I know they had a big controversy with the different types of bats.
Yeah, ash and maple.
Yeah, maple bats flying through the infield.
There's a pitch spoiled by Reddick, who emergency swing there to stay alive. There's the left-hander Chris Seddon warming up. Masterson gives up a leadoff single to Drew to start the fifth here. Oakland scored 5 in the fourth to break this one open. Pitch misses inside, runs the count to a ball and 2 strikes. Outfield and infield pretty much straight away for Josh Reddick, who has hit 26 home runs.
Well, here's a hitter. When you have a guy out on the mound who's having a hard time controlling his fastball, we mentioned him getting ahead earlier in the pregame. You're just looking for something hard. You can adjust to the slider.
There's a fly ball to deep right field. Back goes CHOO on the track. It hits the top of the wall and goes for number 27 for Josh Reddick. And that makes it 8-2. The Oakland Athletics hit their 3rd home run of the day. Reddick on a 1-2 pitch. That ball hit the very top of the wall and bounced out of here for a 2-run homer. And just what the Cleveland Indians didn't need to get a run in the previous inning. And now Masterson sees Oakland double that up in the very next frame.
Well, it's all, you get a fastball again, a 1-2 count. You can't put these lefties away. You really don't have anything that speed-wise, it's such a drastic change in velocity. Everything has been hard from Masterson. He can't put guys away. So the A's hitters are just looking up, and they'll adjust to that breaking ball. He hasn't been able to get that over either consistently. And they're looking for a fastball in the middle of the zone, and a lot of these lefties are getting it. And Reddick just got a good fastball down and smoked it in right field. So it's not a hard adjustment for some of these guys, some of the A's hitters, when you know you don't have anything to get those guys out of the way.
The home run ball has been a problem this year for Masterson. He gets a called strike here to Cespedes and gets ahead 0-2 for Justin Masterson. 3 home runs allowed today, now 17 on the season.
Yeah, and 28 starts, 173, 74 innings.
A little tap at the plate keeps Cespedes alive. And remember, on the 0-2 pitch, I mentioned how Reddick had an emergency swing to stay alive, and then the next one is out of the zone, and then he gets a pitch he can handle. It's a good job of hitting.
It is. I mean, they're battling. I mean, they know that, okay, they're going to get a pitch out over the plate. I mean, Masterson against the lefties, you haven't even seen Qatar set up on the outside, or actually Qatar is set up on the outside part of the plate. It's basically been in against these lefties for the A's.
That's a fair ball behind the throw by Hannahan. It was off balance, and that's an infield hit for Cespedes. Third straight hit in the inning. 8 hits now for Oakland. And here comes Manny Acta, and that's going to do it. He's going to go to the left-hander 7, and Masterson will depart after 4+ innings. You need more than that from your starter. You need more. You need innings, you need quality innings. And the Indians and Manny Acta didn't get it today. So, with a pitching change here at Progressive Field, Masterson is gone, and Chris Sutton, a left-hander, coming on, with Oakland on top of Cleveland, 8-2 in the 5th. '29-year-old left-hander Chris Sutton is making his 8th appearance. He's 0-1 with a 4.12 ERA. He made 2 starts this year for Cleveland. Sutton is back in the big league since being with the Mariners back in 2010. Signed to a minor league free agent contract in the offseason. Called up earlier this month from Columbus, having a terrific year at AAA. He was a starter down below. He was 11-5 at Columbus with a very respectable 3.44 earned run average. And he's being pressed into service here as Justin Masterson gets knocked out in the 5th after 3 straight innings and falling behind in the ball game 8-2.
Well, it was a perfect opportunity for Sutton. He's an older player. Has been not too much time in the big leagues. He's been in, last time was like you mentioned in Seattle, Florida, back in 2007. Hasn't logged any full years yet, so here's a great opportunity. We talked about the Indians going forward, and a 29-year-old going to be 30 next year, of trying to establish a spot on this team, showing against a left-handed hitting lineup that he could be a factor here.
Runner at first, Cespedes. Seth Smith at the plate. He's been on base twice today with a double and been given a walk. First pitch swinging, grounds a foul. Smith has scored a run. He was on board, one of the 3 runners on base when Kataris delivered the big blow of the game, a 3-run double back in the last inning.
And Manny Acta is just looking for somebody to go out there and throw up some scoreless innings, at least get their offense going somehow.
Pitches rolling away 1-1. You mentioned good at bats by Oakland and how they're working the pitcher. The clubs you were with, the Yankees in Seattle, grinding out at bats, making that pitcher work. In the end, it pays dividends.
It does, because ultimately when a team has a great starting rotation, you want to get into their bullpen. The only way to do that is get their pitch count up early.
Pitch gets away from the catcher Marson. There goes the runner up to second base, Cespedes. The pitch was in the dirt. They bounced off the shin guard of Marson. We'll see how they score it.
But you can't do that if you have a pitcher out there throwing strikes. You get a guy getting ahead early. You can't be selective.
That was a wild pitch, by the way.
And you look at Masterson in the first couple innings, especially the first inning. What did he do? He established his fastball and he was getting ahead. And the only time he got behind is, I mean, the only time he got into trouble is when he got behind. And you know, you go out and you give up a home run in the third to Crisp. You're still in the game. And then you go out in the fourth inning, and all of a sudden, you know, it just drops off the table. You start getting behind. Everything's hard. You leave fastballs out of the middle of the plate. Can't control your breaking ball. The next thing you know, you're behind 8-2.
2-1 the count here on Smith with the runner at second. Still nobody out. 2 runs in on the home run by Reddick in this inning to help pad the lead here for Oakland. Smith fooled on that pitch. Seddon signed originally by the Marlins, a 5th-round draft choice in 2000. Fastball, slider, changeup pitcher. Fastball hits around 90. 6'4", 220 pounds. Again, they have the overshift on for Seth Smith with 3 infielders on the right side of the diamond.
Yeah, you can see the A's hitters. They just geared up for the hard stuff.
Now what do we got going here? Is there a dispute about the count, or what's going on? We got third base umpire coming in, Gary Darling, and the plate umpire, Paul Emmel. And after the manager coming out. Was there some, did they say he struck out or what? I think they're ruling that they had the count wrong, and there was 2 strikes, and he should have been strikeout kicked him out. Bob Melvin out.
We went on the check swing to strike 2. We got to make what's right is right.
All right, so
I said the count was 2-1. I'm admitting to that. I told him it was 2-1 before the pitch. No.
So Paul Emmel, the plate umpire, listened, and apparently there's some confusion about the count. And that becomes a strikeout for Sid. And Paul Emmel, to his credit, said, "Look, I was wrong, and I've got to make it right."
Yeah.
What's your feelings on replay?
Well, you know, I like the idea that they have the home run calls and the foul when it goes foul, whether it's fair or foul, and also if it hits the line. I think in some senses it could be expanded, maybe balls down the line as far as hitting the chalk. I'm not too big on
traps.
Yeah, and traps as well. You know, in some ways you look at football and the challenge play. I mean, you give the manager each 1 challenge per game, and
some managers don't have much of an arm left if you're going to throw a flag.
Exactly. But no, I mean, the one thing that I'd like to see the umpires get together. I mean, just like that, you had the count wrong. You know, it should have been 1-2 instead of 2-1, and Smith strikes out there. I mean, the home plate umpire Emmel, he admitted that, you know what, I had the count wrong, and I told him 2-1, and all of a sudden it quickly got behind 2-2. Seddon knew the strike zone, so did the count, so did Manny Acta, and they got it right.
Brandon Moss at the plate. Down now, takes a pitch inside. Moss has bounced to first and flagged to center.
I mean, you see a lot of times you have 4 umpires out there, 3 umpires out there. And when they do make a bad call, a lot of them are so stuck on egos that they don't want anybody to step on their toes. You don't want anybody else to step on their toes. If they got together and got it right, it would make both managers happy.
Brantley collects that one towards the warning track for the second out. Moss is 0 for 3. Now we'll leave it up to Josh Donaldson, 0 for 1 with a walk today. So Seddon has come on to settle things down, at least for the moment. Cespedes advancing to third on the fly ball. Visit with third base coach Mike Gallego. Pretty good infielder in his day for the Oakland Athletics.
I remember facing him, another tough hitter. Those tiny guys.
You're not that old.
I faced him.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
some more milk?
Yeah, exactly. Those guys that are small, they're hard to face. I had to strike people out, and they had that small strike zone. It didn't make me very happy.
Here's Josh Donaldson. Takes it high. Who would you rather face, Mike Gallego, Mo Vaughn, or Albert Bell?
Well, Albert Bell's got me a couple times. Mo Vaughn's from the left side. But I'd rather face the righties. You know, Gallego's a little scrappy guy. He fouls off some pitches that you'd think that he wouldn't be able to foul off because, they cover a lot of plate. The smaller, like Omar Vizquel, when he was here in Cleveland, he was always a tough hitter because he didn't strike out a whole lot. And, you would make some nasty pitches, and all he would do was just foul them off and get right back into the count. And their zones were so small that you had a hard time with them. The free swingers are always easier to face.
Donaldson swings through that pitch. He falls behind 1-2. You weren't with Seattle when Chris Bosio threw his no-hitter.
Yeah, I was in '93. Yeah, against the Red Sox.
How about Ernest Riles, the pinch hitter, to end the game, and Omar
Vizquel
barehands the ball
it exactly
to end a no-hitter.
Exactly.
Was that the ugliest no-hitter you've ever seen?
Well, because Bosio only threw about 88 miles an hour, but he had about 20 pitches.
What did he walk, about 2 or 3 guys in the first inning?
I know.
And then winds up pitching a no-hitter. You gotta love baseball. This is a great game.
And I'm sure he's doing a terrific job over there in Chicago with the Cubs. I mean, he's a good pitching coach.
He knows pitching, yeah.
He's intense, man. He's a fiery guy.
Here's a line shot into left field. Carrera makes the catch off his right shoulder to end the inning. Seddon settles things down. But prior to that, Masterson gave up 2 more runs. Oakland leading by 6. Not only has the month of August been hot weather-wise in Ohio, here in Cleveland, but it's been terrible as far as the output of the Cleveland Indians. 5-22 thus far in the month of August.
Is that good?
That's an old broadcaster right there. There's a former broadcaster. That's what happens, see?
That's what happens when you lose 22 in a month?
Yeah, you
maybe
leave the booth.
Hitting some of the cotton candy.
Yeah, here's a shot into left center field. Off the bat of Jason Kipnis, who started the scoring today with a home run, and he starts the 5th with a leadoff double. So the Indians need to string some hits together. What do the guys say? Keep the line moving?
Exactly. Where you go, you get a first pitch fastball just up in the zone. I mean, this is tough. You're supposed to, if you're Parker, you got to go out there and throw strikes and get ahead of guys. You got an 8-2 lead. No sense of monkeying around in the strike zone and getting behind. And Kipnis hits another first pitch.
Masterson's line, 4+ innings, 8 hits, 8 runs, all earned, 2 walks, a strikeout, gave up 3 home runs. Cabrera, first pitch swinging. It's a high fly ball center field. Coco Chris battling the sun, makes the catch off his left ear. If he was Vincent Van Gogh, he'd have trouble. What do you think of Cabrera swinging at the first pitch?
Well, they're all being aggressive. I think they know, the Indians hitters know as well, is, you know, Parker's out there trying to throw strikes and get ahead of guys, and if they see a fastball that they like, just like Kipnis, you might as well jump on it. That time was just, you know, is not in the zone, that Cabrera. I don't mind being aggressive, especially if you know you have a pitcher out there, you have an 8-2 lead, you got a young guy that wants to get through the game. You might as well get a hold of him early.
So here is CHOO. He is struck out. He's bounced to second.
That looked like a cross-up job right
there. Is that off the catcher's
I think it hit him right in the mask.
Or what?
He's like, timeout.
Runner goes to third. Kipnis. That pitch.
That's one
off
of those.
The wrist. he was ducking for cover.
It was like a box. It looked like Mike Tyson behind it. It was one of those, I think he expected a breaking ball or a change. It definitely wasn't off speed. I'd say a breaking ball. He was looking inside. Next thing you know, it was something straight. Hit off his hand, like you mentioned.
Gutierrez was carrying his left a little. It was going to hurt him in the later rounds. There's a bouncer to the right side. We'll get a run home. CHOO is out. As Kipnis crosses the plate, it's 8-3. CHOO picks up his 50th RBI, but he wanted more than that.
Yeah, and that was just a mistake that's going to cost Parker an earned run right there. A little mix-up on signs.
We'll have to see if they call that a pass ball or a wild pitch. To me, that one should be, well, sometimes the catcher will forget too, so
right.
I will refrain from passing judgment. Here's Brantley, 0 for 1 with a walk. He swings at the first one, and there's an ugly swing. Nothing in one.
And then as Parker, I mean, like you get 2 outs, you got to shut the door right here, and he knows that the Indians are going to go up and be aggressive. They got an 8-2 lead.
Missing low, it's a ball and a strike. If Brantley gets on, we'd see Santana.
Actually, should be 8-3.
8-3, yeah. Parker ahead of Brantley, a ball and 2 strikes. Misses wide to even it at 2-2. They're calling a pass ball.
Yeah, so an unearned run.
Yeah. Got Kipnis to third.
And that's tough. I mean, that's with the scorekeeper. You know that it was a cross-up, a mix-up in signs.
Fair ball down the left field line, just inside the line by Brantley, who is going to chug towards second and pick up his 35th double of the year. He's among the league leaders in 2 base hits.
Well, that unearned run becomes an earned run now. The pitch on the outside part of the plate, a fastball. Brantley just went down and got it and punched it into left field. Just fair for a double. Here we go again, 2-out rallies from both sides.
Here's Carlos Santana. He was retired on a pop fly into left field over near the line caught by the shortstop. Walked his first time. Indians could use a long one here. Pitch misses down and in. Santana has hit 13 home runs, 9 from this side of the plate. But Parker, despite the leadoff home run by Kipnis today, usually doesn't give up many gopher balls.
No, and you can see the frustrations from both sides. Masterson had a hard time getting that inside pitch called, and same with Parker. They're both hitting their spots on the inside part of the plate against the lefties.
Parker did allow 2 home runs in 1 game this year. That was July 27th at Baltimore, no decision. Swing and a miss, good changeup there. Parker in control of this one, leading 8-3, 4 2/3 innings, just 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. All the runs have been earned. Here's a high pop-up. The second baseman, Pennington, battles the sun and collects it to end the inning. The Indians do get a run. We put 5 innings in the book. 8-3 Oakland here at Progressive Field in Cleveland. Today in Major League Baseball history, the Georgia Peach debuted. Ty Cobb doubled off Jack Chesbrough of the Highlanders. Cobb, a member of the Hall of Fame class, the initial class, 1936, a career 357 hitter, 4,191 hits, and they say he was nasty.
Yeah, you know, that's why I never faced him. I might have faced Mike Gallego, but I've never faced Ty Cobb.
How would you have pitched him, carefully?
I heard he was nasty, too.
Yeah,
huh?
Sharpen his spikes. Nasty, not only to the players, but also to the fans.
Exactly. Sharpens his spikes.
Here's Kataris. He had a 3-run double to break this thing open back in the 4th inning. Bounced to the first baseman his first time as we move to the 6th here. Seddon delivers an off-speed pitch, and Kataris way out in front, 0-2. The 8, 9, and 1 hitters for Oakland here in the 6th. Kataris, Pennington, and Crisp. With the Athletics leading 8-3.
So Cobb's spikes were good on the field and also meat tenderizers.
Yeah.
Right?
Aerated yard. Here's a fly ball off the end of the bat for the left fielder Carrera. For the first out. Ty Cobb. See that movie with Tommy Lee Jones? He wasn't a very likable guy. Mr.
No,
Cobb.
I heard he was nasty.
You know, he made a lot of money, though, in the soft drink industry. A lot of money.
Really?
Coca-Cola, yeah.
You know, it's always great. You get some of those greats. When I went to the Yankees first time, in '96, it was the last year they had Fan Fest right before, like right in the winter. And you would get a lot of the old timers come in and to hear some of their stories back in the day. You talk about taking guys out at second, hating players.
Yeah. Here's Pennington, had a 2-run homer in that 4th inning, part of a 5-run inning. Lines a base hit into left center, so he's 2 for 3. First hit off Seddon.
He's making it up for yesterday. The only guy that probably got all over him in the clubhouse. The only guy not to get a hit, and he gets 2 already.
When I was a kid producer at KMOX Radio in St. Louis, working on the station, KMOX had the Cardinal games, and we had an old timers weekend one weekend, and they brought in Casey Stengel and Dizzy Dean, just a bunch of greats. Got to meet Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. What a gentleman Roger Maris was.
Oh, really?
So impressed with him. Top of the order, Coco Crisp, batting right-handed now, takes one down and in.
Well, now the Yankees are one of the few teams, or maybe only team that keeps the old timers day going. When I was with Seattle early, I got the opportunity. It seemed like every time we go into New York, this is when Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio were still alive, Phil Rizzuto was there, that we would hit Old Timers Day.
Whitey Ford.
Yeah, Whitey Ford. Whitey Ford's
Yogi.
still around. Yogi Berra.
Crisp has a home run today. Takes one down and in, and he's ahead 2-0.
And growing up in Baltimore, you used to hate the Yankees. They used to play those 4-game series all the time, and you know, I always took it in. I watched on the top step at Old Timers Day. Never met Mickey Mantle. Got the opportunity to meet Joe DiMaggio before he passed.
Crisp fouls one. That year is right here for you, Jeff. Just a little shy of the booth.
I'm waiting too.
Who was your favorite player growing up? Were you a big-time Oriole fan?
I was Jim Palmer. Jim Palmer was a favorite player. Dave Winfield, and I got the opportunity to play against him many a times. And,
really?
Here in Cleveland when he was here, Toronto, in Minnesota, he was one of my favorites.
What an athlete he was!
Oh my God! What did he get drafted? Four sports.
Yeah.
Great guy too.
3 sports, 4 teams, I believe. Yeah. Three sports, 4 teams. ABA, NBA. In basketball, it's a fly ball. Carrera on the run. Will he get there? No, a fair ball. And that will find runners at second and third here for Oakland. A double for Coco Crisp off the end of the bat. And Pennington winds up at third on the double to left by Coco Crisp just inside the line.
Change up down and in, and just like lefties, all they do is drop the head on some fastballs down and in. That's exactly what Crisp did. He got a change up he was able to handle. Said missed his spot. Crisp just dropped the head of the bat and hit it down the left field line for a double.
Here's Stephen Drew has one of their hits today, 1 for 3 with a run scored. 10 hits now for the Athletics.
I don't think Crisp even knew it was fair. He kind of slowed up a little bit out of the box.
Drew, who's yet to drive in a run as a member of the Oakland Ball Club. Infield is in for Cleveland. Swing and a miss, blew a fastball by him.
Only down by 5. You don't want to get down anymore.
No, you don't want to be down by a touchdown.
The only thing that you're risking with the infield in, you got to guy at second base and crisp. Base hit's probably going to score him anyway, but with the infield in,
speed.
yeah, it gives it a little bit better of a chance for the ball leaking through the infield.
Drew takes one inside to even it at a ball and a strike. Seddon in relief of the starter Masterson. Chris Seddon. He's from California, from Northbridge. Signed originally by Tampa Bay. Little squibber up the third base line. This is trouble. Better let it go foul. Hannahan keeps it that way. No chance to make a play anywhere. That would have scored a run. Seddon was drafted by Tampa Bay 5th round in 2001. Came up to the big leagues with the Florida Marlins in 2007. Spent some time with Seattle. Indians signed him as a minor league free agent in January.
You see some grounds crew guys, they'll cut that edge of the grass a little thin, especially when you don't have a fast team, to try to make that ball go foul. And also, they'll do the same thing with the lines. They'll build up that dirt along the lines. It depends on what kind of team you have that year, to whether to keep it fair or keep it foul.
Pitch is over but low and evens the count at 2-2. The runner at third is Pennington. Crisp is at second. 2 runners in scoring position for the Oakland Athletics, who lead 8-3 here in the 6th.
Old Tiger Stadium. I mean, playing in that grass was like playing in weeds. It's like a jungle.
Here's a drive, going to get at least 1 run home. Drifting back is Brantley on the track, makes the catch. Pennington tags, he'll score. Crisp to third. It's 9-3. So Stephen Drew gets his first RBI as a member of the Oakland Athletics. A sacrifice fly to deep center field. Pennington crosses the plate for the second time, and Crisp is now at third with 2 out.
Get a fastball down in the zone. All he had to do was lift it into the outfield. He had a pretty good shot at getting an RBI anyway. He got the pitch that he could handle, hit it deep to center.
Here is Josh Reddick, had a 2-run homer, his 27th of the season, his last time up. He's 1 for 3. It was a 2-run shot. 1 of 3 home runs the Athletics have hit today. Swing and a miss at an off-speed pitch.
Nice breaking ball there by Seddon.
Reddick's been struggling. He's had a dental problem, they say, and he's not used that as an excuse. Others have mentioned it, but he has really struggled in the month of August. Field back at 2 down, swing and a miss at another off-speed pitch. The great Warren Spahn used to say, hitting is timing, pitching is messing up timing. How true.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah. Let me hit it. No. And the 0-2 pitch to Reddick. Foul off the end of the bat. Took a bite out of the catcher, Marson. Cleveland with an outfield of Carrera, Brantley, and CHOO left to right. Infield of Hannahan, Carrera, Kipnuson, KOTCHMAN third to first. Marson is catching. The left-hander Seddon, who's on in relief of the starter Masterson, who gave up 8 runs on 8 hits in 4+ innings.
Well, this is Reddick's first opportunity to get into a full season. I mean, last year he had 254 at bats.
I wonder if he's wearing down. One of the reasons why he's struggling in August.
That could be. I mean, this is a longer season. What everybody thinks. I mean, we say, oh, they train all through the winter and they have spring training. These guys should be used to it. But
is it the off-speed pitch, or does his swing look a little long right now?
Yeah, it's an off-speed pitch. I mean, he's a dead red hitter. He likes the ball inside, obviously, and you know. This whole game, Masterson's been nothing but hard, and Seddon's come in and thrown some breaking balls against some lefties, and it's kind of like you mentioned, timing and keeping these guys off balance. You know, they're looking for one thing. They're looking for the fastball, and when you have a decent breaking ball, it's just he's going to go out and look bad there. And then he had to adjust to the fastball up.
And he was late on it and fouled it off. Hitters have a way of telling you how you guys on the mound are doing. If you're in a fastball count, you're a left-handed batter and you're fouling it off down the left field line, and you get the fastball and you're late on it, you know, it's telling you he's still got something going. But if he's pulling that thing and just missing it down the right field line, losing it. Hard shot by KOTCHMAN for a base hit, gets another run home. It's 10-3.
Yeah, that was a hockey suit down there. That was a BB line drive down the first base. KOTCHMAN had no chance. I don't care what kind of first baseman you are.
Don Mattingly Probably couldn't handle that.
No, not at all. I mean, he gets a fastball up in the zone after throwing good breaking balls and making Reddick look bad. He comes back with a fastball out over the plate. He misses, and Reddick drills it in the right field for an RBI.
I'll put you on the spot. Who's the best fielding first baseman you've seen?
Tino Martinez was one of the best ones. I mean, Don Mattingly was great, but you know, those years over with the Yankees, he must have saved Chuck Knobloch about 50 errors during the season.
You ever have a chance to see Keith Hernandez? Hernandez was the best I ever saw. Andres Galarraga was very good.
John Olerud was pretty solid down there. Mark Teixeira with the Yankees now is outstanding.
Yeah. Cespedes 2 for 3 and a run scored. Is at the plate. They're not holding Reddick on with Oakland up by 7 in the 6th here. Cespedes hits it off the end of the bat to the right side in the air. Kipnis, the second baseman, in shallow right, has it, and the inning is over. But more runs for Oakland. They add 2 to their total here in the 6th, and they have a 10-3 lead over the Cleveland Indians as they go to the last of the 6th. "14 months ago, Bob Melvin, a former Major League catcher, was named the interim manager of the Oakland Athletics in September. Signed a 3-year contract. That looks like a pretty good investment thus far for the Oakland organization and their general manager, Billy Beane, as Casey KOTCHMAN pulls a foul down the right field line. KOTCHMAN 0 for 2. Leading it off in the bottom of the 6th, 10-3, Athletics, Jared Parker in line for his 9th win of the season. He can hang on. There's a fly ball off the fist into right field, and it falls for a hit. Reddick plays it on a hop. So KOTCHMAN gets the 7th hit of the game for Cleveland, a leadoff single. They put their leadoff man on in the first, a home run by Kipnis. They put their leadoff man on in the 5th, a double by Kipnis, and he scored. And now KOTCHMAN, for the 3rd time today, the leadoff man reaching for the Indians.
And you can see the frustration from Parker. KOTCHMAN hits a fastball up around his eyes and jams himself, but was able to get it into right field just in front of Reddick.
Carrera.
It's funny you mentioned earlier about the hitters let you or dictate how they're swinging against you. It takes a while. It does. It takes a while to pick that up. I mean, it takes years for pitchers to realize what they're trying to do to your pitches. I mean, sometimes it doesn't happen until after you've retired and you realize, well, you know, this guy was on my fastball, or you know what, he's out over the plate on my slider, and you keep feeding him sliders, and he keeps fouling them off, and next thing you know, he just fouling them off to get back to your fastball, and you never really showed him anything. Then that's, you know, you talk about guys throwing inside and trying to set up pitches. I watched the game last night, and especially with some young pitchers, they don't know how to set up their breaking stuff. They don't know how to set up their fastball.
Pitches wide here to Carrera, who's 1 for 2. A guy that guys with the Yankees got crossways with, Pedro Martinez. Pedro used to stare in at hitters, and a lot of guys said, you know, that's a lot of intimidation. There was some of that, but he also wanted to see the swing path, how they reacted to pitches.
And if you have a good catcher, you know, they can also pick that up. They also know what the hitters. If you really, you talk about when guys have great starts and really, you know, go deep in the game, have a complete game or no hitters, and they'll talk at the end and says, well, you know what, I didn't have to shake off my catcher, but hardly at all, or maybe one or two times, or maybe none. Well, that's the catcher realizing what these guys are trying to do off of you. They know exactly what you have, your strengths in that game, because coming out of the bullpen, going to the mound, you may have I mean, your fastball might be great in the bullpen, and all of a sudden you can't even find it during the game.
There's a pop-up off the bat of Carrera, foul ball. Donaldson over near the Cleveland dugout, but it's out of play. Greg Maddux, another, used to stare in.
Right.
See the swing path.
He was amazing to watch, because it's when I watched him during interleague play when he pitched against us in the World Series, he knew. It was uncanny. He knew exactly what the hitters were trying to do each pitch. I mean, first pitch, he said, you know what, I know these guys are going to come up looking for my fastball. I'll throw a changeup on the outside part of the plate. Plus, back then, I mean, these guys were getting 4 and 5 inches on both sides.
Hard shot pulled foul down the right field line.
I mean, you look at Masterson today, you know, he's got a very good fastball. 95, 90, we saw him at 97 today. And for a guy that throws that hard and that has that kind of movement, you never once saw him go inside against a righty. He tried to stay inside against lefties, but he couldn't get in there, he couldn't adjust. And it was tough.
That's Evan Scribner warming up for Oakland, their first bullpen action. Here's an off-speed pitch pulled into right field by Carrera for a base hit. KOTCHMAN is going to chug on over to third, into second with a double, his second hit of the game, Carrera. And the Indians, with a tiring Jared Parker on the hill, have runners at second and third with nobody out, and they are moaning, I'm sure, about the 2 runs that the Indians gave up in the top half of this inning.
Well, you see Bob Melvin going out and making a pitching change, and we can just see Jared Parker get tired. Everything this inning has been up. The changeup's been up. Right there to Carrera, it was a changeup on the outside part of the plate. He's just able to handle and hit down the right field line. Nothing's been down. I think, you know, the whole game, as well as Masterson, he's had a hard time to establish his breaking ball. I mean, his fastball on both sides of the plate, not getting the inside corner, and then this inning, his pitch count getting up and everything up in the zone. Now he's out of the game.
So we're going to get a look here at Scribner, Evan Scribner, a right-hander from New Milford, Connecticut, will be brought on by Bob Melvin. It's not a tale of 2 cities, it's a tale of 2 bullpens. Which team is higher up in the standings? Well, the save category pretty close, obviously, but the earned run average and the wins, big difference there, huh? How about Oakland's bullpen?
Yeah, Oakland's bullpen, a 2.82 ERA, 36 saves. I mean, they've gone through a few closers. I mean, at one point they had Brian Fuentes down there. He's no longer with the team. He had 5 saves. You know, Grant Balfour has been seeing some time in the 9th inning. So is Ryan Cook, who was their only all-star. So, yeah, they have a very good bullpen. I mean, if you have some young starters, which what Oakland has, you're going to need some solid guys. You're going to need some solid guys that's going to have to be able to pitch in the 6th and 7th inning. Not just, if you had a starting staff that would go deep into the game, maybe you can shorten that a little bit. But Oakland has had an outstanding bullpen so far this year.
Evan Scribner throws a breaking pitch inside to Hannahan, ball 1. Scribner is making his 18th appearance, no record of 2.61 ERA. He has 1 save this year. He has struck out 19, walked 3 in 20 2/3 innings. This is wide with the fastball, 2-0. Scribner, a right-hander, a fastball around 91 miles an hour is pretty straight. A good downer of a curveball, always around the plate. A guy who's got the ability to pitch backwards. We'll have Jeff explain that in a moment after this 2-0 pitch with runners at 2nd and 3rd. And that's low for ball 3. What does pitching backwards mean?
Well, it's basically, in fastball counts, you're throwing your breaking ball, and in breaking ball counts, you're throwing your fastball. And that's basically what you have to do in the American League anyway. Anybody that can get their off-speed pitches over in any part of the count, you're going to have success.
On 3-0, Hannahan takes a called strike. Scribner has had trouble with the Cleveland Indians this year in 2 games. He's pitched an inning and 2/3 against them, giving up 3 hits and 3 runs, and he got a generous call there.
Yeah, it's one of those automatics now, isn't it? At 3-0, if you're around the plate, it's automatically a strike.
Yeah. Hannahan with 2 runners in scoring position, fouls it to the left and out of play.
And you'll go over hitters when we have the hitters meetings, and you go over the opposing team, and they'll have, pitch this guy backwards. Start him out. Maybe he's a guy aggressive early in the count, and you want to feed him some breaking balls, and then to finish him off, you go hard. You finish him off with fastballs, because then all of a sudden he's trying to shortens up his swing, and he's looking for a breaking pitch.
Foul tip off the catcher. That staggered Kataris, who couldn't hang on to the ball. Kataris rocked. Why would you want to be a catcher?
I have no idea. It looked like it hit him right below that, right above that chin guard. And you see a lot of guys. He's got the old-fashioned type mask as well. You see a lot of guys with that helmet.
Well, he was
full cage helmet, and he just has the one that with the mask, the old-time mask. Probably sees better, not very comfortable with the big helmet. Almost like the hockey goalie mask.
Hannahan staying alive at 3-2. The runner at 3rd is KOTCHMAN. CARRERA, the base runner, at 2nd base.
Yeah, if you want to pitch from behind, let's see a breaking ball here, 3-2. Lock him up.
There it is, and there's a line drive foul down the right field line. He threw him a 3-2 curveball, and Hannahan was out in front.
Just got him out front. It was down and in. So he got away with one right there. But you know what? You're just keeping this guy off balance. It's almost like if you can get Kataris to set up on the outside part of the plate, throw one of those backdoor breaking balls, you might get him right here.
You always have to look for the fastball, don't you, and adjust to the breaking ball? There's ball 4 missing down and in. I mean, if you're looking breaking ball and trying to adjust the fastball, you're done.
No, yeah, especially if a guy's going to throw 90+ miles an hour. I don't think anybody goes up there looking for off speed most of the time, because you'll never be able to adjust to a 90+ mile an hour fastball.
Here's Lou Marson, the number 9 hitter, who's bounced into a double play and been called out on strikes. At 3rd base, it's Casey KOTCHMAN for Cleveland. There's a pop-up on the infield. The second baseman battling the sun. They call the infield fly rule, and Pennington catches it for the first out. Marson, a very light-hitting catcher, again swinging at the first pitch on the heels of a walk. With KOTCHMAN at 3rd, CARRERA at 2nd, and HANNAHAN at 1st. What about that approach?
Well, it's just really being overly aggressive. He comes in the game, he walks. Scribner walks the first guy he faces.
And you guys know who, going over the hitters in the meetings, you know who the guys who are first pitch swingers.
Right, you do. But at the same time, you got guys at the bottom of the lineup that probably shouldn't be swinging at the first pitch. I mean, if you have the middle of the lineup, then okay, you give them the green light, because then they're trying to keyhole you, and they'll wind up getting a good pitch to hit. But when you're being overly aggressive and you're the 8-9 hitters, you almost want to take a pitch, especially when you're down 5 and or down 7 and you got the bases loaded with nobody out.
KOTCHMAN, CARRERA, and HANNAHAN, the base runners, as Kipnis is in a hole, 0-2. Kipnis has had a good game. Leadoff home run in the 1st, a double and a run scored in the 5th, 2 out of 3 today.
And he's a guy that's been swinging at the first pitch. And what did Scribner do? He started off with a breaking ball.
Indians really need a hit here. There's still only one out. Bases loaded. Pitch is down and in, blocked by Kataris. 1-2. Inning started with KOTCHMAN getting a flare single to right. Carrera followed with a double to right, putting runners at second and third. That knocked Parker out of the game. First man Scribner faced was HANNAHAN. He walked. Marson popped up to the second baseman. And now it's up to Kipnis, who's behind a ball and 2 strikes. His team trailing 10-3. They've been out hit 11-8. He started to go, laid off a high fastball to even it at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Center fielder Crisp is a step towards right center for Kipnis, who has hit 13 home runs. Parker watching from the dugout. John Adams on the drum. Breaking ball. Where was that pitch?
Yeah, just must have been up. I don't know.
That's probably what they're saying in that Oakland dugout.
Yeah, where is that? Give us some help.
With the bases loaded, a 3-2 pitch. Missed wide. He walked in a run. So, for a guy who had walked only 3 in almost 21 innings, he walks 2 of the first 3 men he faces, forcing in a run. And crossing the plate is KOTCHMAN. Carrera to third, HANNAHAN to second, an RBI for Kipnis, who now has driven in 65 as he gets a bases loaded walk, and it's 11-4. Kurt Young, the pitching coach, is back out there.
Scribner got ahead in that count to Kipnis, and just let him get back right into the count. He missed with that 2-2 breaking ball. Sometimes you're gonna almost 2-2. You might as well throw. If you're gonna throw a 2-2, you might as well throw a 3-2. But with bases loaded, he didn't want to try to walk him with a breaking ball. It's probably second best pitch.
The Athletics have left-hander Jerry Blevins warming up. Thin left-hander warming up, and here is ASDRUBAL Cabrera, 0 for 2 with a walk. He has stolen a base today, but he's likely to look for a pitch to drive here. A lot of hidden room in left center as he bats from the left side. He takes a called strike. This is his power side. 10 home runs from this side of the plate, 4 batting right-handed. Been a better average hitter right-handed. 294 right-handed, 263 left-handed. With the bases loaded, the pitch popped up. Third baseman shielding his eyes. Infield fly rule is called. Donaldson has it for the second out. Cabrera hears it here as he pops out to the third baseman, and that leaves it up to SHIN-SOO Choo, who has struck out, bounced to second twice, the last time driving in a run. If Cleveland gets only run in this inning, if they get only one, they will have squandered a terrific chance.
Yeah, bases loaded, nobody out. You get 2 pop-ups on the infield, and the only run you're going to score is by a walk. So that's got to be frustrating for Manny Actor.
Choo, 15 homers, 50 runs batted in. Breaking ball in there. Runner at third, Carrera. Manny Actor watching. HANNAHAN at second, Kipnis at first. The 0-1 pitch. Popped up foul off the left side. Sounds like he broke the bat, apparently not.
And you got your best hitter up.
Yeah. Choo from South Korea. Originally signed by Seattle. Some hamstring problems early on in the season as he watches one go wide here. A ball and 2 strikes. Scribner, signed originally by Arizona, came up to the big leagues for the first time last year with San Diego. Pitch in the dirt, blocked by Kataris. It's 2-2.
Well, now that you've gotten yourself into a count, even the count 2-2, this is where you got to make something happen as a pitcher. You got to make them put the ball in play.
You're leading by 6. Pitches high. 3-2.
Well, there's 2 guys in a row he's gotten ahead of. Kipnis, he walked, he got ahead of, and he got ahead of Choo 0-2, and he just can't put him away. He wasted a pitch, a fastball outside, and now you're quickly back into the count and the best hitter.
Start the merry-go-round. 3-2 pitch with 2 out and a base hit into left field. That will score Carrera. Here comes Hannahan. Stopping at second is Kipnis. And it's 10-6. So CHOO with a big 2-out hit here. As he grounds a single through the hole on the left side into left field. 3 RBIs of the day, 52 on the season. And Bob Melvin is going to go to Blevins. That'll do it for Scribner, who again continued to have problems with this Cleveland lineup.
Well, you get ahead of guys 0-2. You got to try to finish them off. I understand wasting a pitch, but then all of a sudden you're too fine. You bounce a breaking ball and 1-2. Even that up. You miss with your fastball, and then you miss with another one. 3-2 out over the middle of the plate. To CHOO is their best hitter.
So we're going to see Jerry Blevins coming on, a left-hander out of the bullpen for the Oakland Athletics as we continue on in the bottom of the 6th. '29-year-old Jerry Blevins on for the 2nd straight game, a left-hander. Fastball, big sweeping curveball, a changeup and a slider, a situational left-hander. And he'll face left-handed hitting Michael Brantley. The Indians have scored 3 times here in the 6th and now trail 10-6. They've been out hit 11-9. This is the 3rd pitcher used this inning by Bob Melvin. Parker, Scribner, and Blevins. Parker closed the book on him. 5+ innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Gave up a leadoff home run to Kipnis in the 1st. Now, with Kipnis at 2nd and CHOO at 1st, it's up to Michael Brantley. 1 for 2 with a double plus a walk. He's hitting .271 against left-handed pitching this year. Blevins delivers on a ground ball to short. Drew flips for the out at 2nd. The forced play to get CHOO 6-4. Blevins makes 1 pitch to win the inning. 3 home for Cleveland, but Oakland leads 10-6. At the start here at Progressive Field, with Parker on for Oakland, their starter Kipnis, a leadoff home run in the bottom of the 1st to make it 1-0. A lead that stood up until the 3rd inning when Coco Crisp tied it with his 9th of the year. Oakland would break it open in the 4th inning with the bases loaded. Kataris, a light-hitting catcher, a 3-run double into right center. Then Pennington, a rare home run for him to add to the Oakland lead, and they weren't done. Reddick with a shot, his 27th of the year. The Cleveland Indians in the bottom of the 6th, with CHOO delivering a hit to left field, driving in a pair, part of a 3-run inning, has given us our 10-6 ball game as Carrera and HANNAHAN cross the plate. And the game moves to the 7th inning with Jeff Nelson. I'm Jerry Trupiano. And the new pitcher is on. Tony Sipp, 0-2 for Cleveland. This is his 53rd game. He does have a save. He is following the starter Masterson and the reliever Seddon to the hill. And now Tony Sipp is on for the Cleveland Indians. He'll try to keep it close and hope that his team can further rally in the last 3 innings. Smith, Moss, and Donaldson are due here for Oakland in the top of the 7th. Smith has been on base twice with a double and a walk. Struck out his last time.
Now the Indians going with 2 lefty relievers.
Overshift on here for Smith. Called strike. Nothing in 1 on Seth Smith. Fighting like mad not to call him Steve Smith. Breaking ball over below, a ball and a strike. Tony Sipp.
Bad, 38 hits and 45 in the 3rd innings. 47 strikeouts.
Bouncing ball foul, makes it 1-2.
Nice fastball inside, 89 miles an hour.
Fastball, quick slider, a hard quick slider. Sipp features an occasional changeup. Bit of deception on his part. He's considered to be a short armor out there. His command can be iffy at times. Bouncing ball to the right side into the overshift. Kipnis from short right throws Smith out. 4-3, 1 down here. Some pitching lines. Scribner, the reliever for Oakland, 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks. Seddon, the reliever for Cleveland, 2 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, a strikeout and a wild pitch. Here's Brandon Moss, 0-for-3. Tony Sipp was a 45th round draft choice from Cleveland back in 2004. He's had some elbow problems in the past, including an elbow reconstruction in 2007. Went to college at Clemson.
Yeah, you look, he kind of almost short arms the ball, kind of like a catcher.
Base is empty, 1 out. 10-6 Oakland. Swing and a miss, good fastball there.
He hides the ball well at 88 miles an hour. He must hide the ball really well. Gets it behind his head and the hitters have a hard time picking that ball up.
That's why you hear people talk about deception on the part of pitchers.
You see how he immediately goes straight up and it comes right off his left ear.
Moss swings and misses. On deck, Josh Donaldson. Oakland looking for the sweep of the 4-game series, the wild card leaders in the American League.
This game was flying by until about the 4th, and it just came to a
That's your bullpen
skid.
Guys. You get the guys in the bullpen in there.
Exactly.
Everybody gets a little.
You got to go to the bullpen in the 5th inning. It's going to be a slow game.
It bounces up there.
It was last night. 3.5 hours?
Yeah. How about when you guys with the Yankees played the Red Sox?
Oh, my goodness.
I saw a lady knit a sweater one night. She started it in the
We
second
started
inning.
in April and it ended in October.
Oh, you'd have to shave.
Oh, I know.
After a game. 2-2 here on Brandon Moss.
We played the same amount of times with the Orioles too.
Yep.
Every time we go down to Baltimore, it was guaranteed to be a 4-inning game, 4-hour game.
Well, that's what Bob Uecker said, to speed up the game, start him in the 5th.
Yeah. It'd still take 2.5 hours, 3 hours to play.
That's because all those hitters were afraid of you.
I guess.
3-2 pitch, misses inside, and a 1-out walk. So, with Moss aboard, Josh Donaldson, 0 for 2 with a walk today and a run scored. Here's a guy with some power. His 3rd home run of the season last night. Progressive Field in Cleveland with Oakland leading 10-6 in the top of the 7th. With Jeff Nelson, I'm Jerry Trupiano. Hope you're enjoying the telecast wherever you are on MLB.TV. Off the end of the bat, foul to the right, and out of play. First pitch swinging. Tony Sipp from Pascagoula, Mississippi. You ever been to Mississippi? They had a football game in Mississippi State one year in the appropriately named Starkville, Mississippi.
I hear it's crazy down there, that SEC football.
Oh.
We're just in Memphis for the Baseball Youth National Championships, and that's huge. They get a quick education of all the SEC drama.
There's a high pop foul back this way. Just shy of the booth to our right.
The National Youth Baseball Championship.
You say Ute?
Utes? The 2 Utes?
Utes. With a man aboard and 1 out.
You need a ball to come in here.
Yeah.
Got to make a play.
They're all yours. They're all yours.
I'll help you out.
Ship delivers high, and it's 1-2. Tony's in no hurry out there.
No, it isn't. The speed up rules do not play into him.
How often would the umpires get on you guys? Very often?
You know, when they started that, it was a pain in the butt because there wasn't many. I think there's 2 bullpens that are down the line, and that's Oakland and Minnesota. You get a decent amount of time to go in there and get your 8 pitches.
Here's a shot into left field. If this is fair, it's trouble. It is a foul ball. Foul ball down in that left field corner.
And they always have the meetings. You know, the umpires will come and they'll have the meetings with you in spring training and tell how they want to change the game.
That one was fouled by a good distance. It was out of our sideline from where we're sitting here in the Progressive Field. Beautiful facility.
And they give you a certain amount of time as soon as that door opens. Or actually, I think it's maybe as soon as they call on you, they give you a certain amount of time to get in there and get your 8 warm-up pitches. And there's been a few times that they try cutting you short.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like some of the guys that like to walk from the bullpen.
How about Lee Smith?
Lee Smith, exactly.
Donaldson almost got hit by a pitch. How did that miss him?
Well, here we go. We've seen this all day by Cleveland. They get ahead of the hitters and they just can't finish them off. Here's a fastball, almost gets his jersey, almost gets his belt.
Count runs to 2-2 on Josh Donaldson. His club leading 10-6. I guess the Blue Angels have taken the rest of the afternoon off.
We don't hear any noise.
Check on the runner. Off speed, pulled foul. Look out, Mike Gallego. It's a good thing he's about 5'8".
Didn't have far to duck for that one. No blimps, nothing in the air. Not even a cloud, which is always good.
Mike's a little beyond that third base coach's box down there.
Yeah, I would too. And now they all wear helmets.
He's playing at Tampa too.
Yes.
He's in deep coverage down there. Sips the next delivery. Like it was over but low, and it's 3-2. You'll probably see Brandon Moss going on the pitch here. Good look at Tony Sipp, S-I-P-P. From Mississippi, M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. Runner goes, pitch is taken inside, and another walk. Back-to-back walks.
Well, back-to-back guys he's got ahead of, and he's not been able to put them away. You know, sometimes you get too fine out there, and next thing you know, you're back in the count, and you can't finish them off.
Oakland is going for the sweep of the series here. Oakland has Won 7 straight. Cleveland won the first 2 this year, and it's been all Oakland since.
They're 3-0 here. They've only come in. This is the only time that the A's come into Cleveland.
Kataris had the big blow in this game, a 3-run double back in the 4th to break a 1-1 tie. He's 1 for 3 on the afternoon. He has also scored a run. He bats with 2 on and 1 out. And Sip misses wide, ball 1. On deck is Pennington. At second base, Moss. At first base, Donaldson. Each was given an Annie Oakley. Which is low and away, ball 2. You ever heard that expression?
What is that?
That's a free pass. That's a walk.
The free pass?
Yeah. Then I got a buddy,
Annie Oakley.
you know Jeffrey Lyons in New York, the movie critic?
Yeah.
Jeffrey used to always get on me. He says, there's no such thing as a free pass. That's redundant.
Well, we might see another one here. 3-0.
All 3. A tight strike zone might have gotten even tighter, yeah. Pennington, as we mentioned there, waiting to hit. Might be up there with the bases loaded. And he will be. 3 straight walks.
Well, that's one of those borderline pitches that if you're a pitcher you want, and if you're umpire, he's all over the place. He hasn't been able to dial it in the strike zone, and you don't want to give him anything close.
Here comes the pitching coach, who's staring out at the plate umpire, and the plate umpire
not staying back.
Yeah, he's got his back to him.
Talk to the back of the head.
Yeah. So the pitching coach here, Niebla, for Cleveland. Ruben Niebla, he was a longtime minor league instructor, as we mentioned earlier, replaced Scott Radinsky, who was fired earlier on in the season. And they're going to stir a little bit out in that Cleveland bullpen. Used to love it when did games involving the Cardinals and the umpire's calls went against his pitchers. And Whitey Herzog would wait on the mound, wait for the umpire to come out, and he'd talk off to the side, not to show up the umpire. And I think that's what Niebla might be thinking about here. He says something to the umpire. They have a little conversation, and now the catcher Marson says something to, and there's Niebla's been thrown out of the game, and now Niebla's going to have something to say, as he really felt that Sip was getting squeezed and maybe some of the earlier calls, but you could see that coming, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's great that you're sticking up for your pitchers, because you know what, I think all game both sides being squeezed on the inside part of the plate. You know, Emil's been consistent. He's not giving anyone any part of the inside plate to lefties. But right there, you got a 3-0 count. He called a 3-0 count fastball up in the zone last inning for a strike, and now you throw one right down the middle, kind of a question mark pitch, but you know, usually give it to the pitcher, and just a lot of frustration for the pitching coach of Cleveland.
Yeah, he was waiting out there for Emil, the plate umpire, to come out to break up the conversation.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you're going to ask him where the pitch was. I mean, the whole idea is to try to calm Sip down. You have bases loaded, and you also, hey, where is that? I mean, you got to help us out here. We get a pitch right down the middle. Next thing you know, we got bases loaded. We're in trouble. We're fighting our butts off out here, and then we can't get a call. So it's great that he's sticking up for his pitchers. And then nowadays you have a lot of umpires that have that short leash, and they're gonna take it.
Let's see, you had what, Brian Price in Seattle?
Yeah, Brian Price.
You had Mel
Stoudemire out with New York.
And coming up through the Dodgers system, we were talking last night.
Yeah.
You had pitching royalty helping form your formula of years.
Yeah, I had about 6 Hall of Famers trying to teach me how to throw a breaking ball.
Chris Carter is going to hit for Pennington here. Oakland trying to add on here with the bases loaded. Carter was homered here last night. At third base, you have Brandon Moss. At second base, Donaldson. George Kataris, the base runner, aboard at first, is Carter. Up as a pinch hitter here. Strong right-handed batter. Carter with 12 home runs, 30 RBIs, 1 for 2 with a pinch hit home run this year, hitting .274 overall. With the bases loaded and 1 out, Carter swings through a sinking fastball. Ball and a strike. Pennington was 1 for 3 with a home run while he was in there.
Yeah, he had a very good day. Home run, base hit, couple RBIs.
Carter to the belt, to the Sip from the belt to the plate, missing low, 2-1. Joe Smith, the right-hander, up in the bullpen for the Cleveland Indians, who trail 10-6 here in the top of the 7th.
Sidearm.
Sip in a bases-loaded jam. Only one out here. Swing and a miss. This hitter, Carter, he's one of those all-or-nothing guys. A lot of power and a lot of strikeouts.
51 strikeouts and 157 ABs.
That's not a very good ratio.
No, all or nothing.
2-2 the count on the pinch hitter, Chris Carter. He hits it high in the air. Fairly shallow right center. Battling the sun is CHOO, makes the catch. Runner from third tags. Here comes Moss. And it's 11-6. Sacrifice fly, RBI for Carter.
And that's a tough play for CHOO. He's got a great arm out in right field. You see him shade his eyes, so you really can't get a running jump on trying to catch that ball and throw the runner out at home. Just basically try to do your best to catch it and get it back in the infield. Usually he's trying to make that attempt to throw the guy out at home. He's got a great arm out there in right field.
Oakland has scored runs in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and now the 7th innings. Add-on runs. Here's Coco Crisp, 2 out of 3 with a homer and a double. 2 runs scored, 1 driven in.
Yeah, you see the scoreboard. They love Cleveland so much that they threw 11 spot in the 7th inning.
It's fouled down the left field line.
We're just going to give them 11 runs in the 7th inning. Well, it's 21-6 now.
What about the 10-run rule?
Yeah. They changed it.
They changed it.
You missed it.
Nobody told me there'd be math.
Yeah. We're going to put 2 stickmen up there, and now it's 21-6.
11 runs on 11 hits for the Oakland Athletics. They've been very opportunistic. Sip. Swing and a miss at an off-speed pitch. Chris didn't get it. Yeah. Chris' home run, which tied the game back in the 3rd, was his 9th of the year. 30 pitches coming up. Number 30 for Tony Sip.
Get the ice ready.
Crisp, who scored 2 runs today. I'll tell you a story about runs scored that really hit home for me. Pitches inside. Did you ever meet Deacon Jones, the advanced scout for Baltimore?
I have, yes.
A great guy.
Yeah.
And he used to play in the White Sox system with Don Buford's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Damon Buford's dad, Don.
Don, yeah.
So they were roommates in the minor leagues.
I actually saw them hang out a lot with the Orioles. Yeah.
Good guys. So Deacon one night, they roomed together. The 1-2 pitch to Crisp was in the dirt, 2-2. So they're lying in their separate beds, and Deacon tells the story. He says, Roomie, tomorrow I'm going to get 3 hits. And Don Buford came back and said, Roomie, tomorrow night I'm going to score 3 runs and help us win. There's a guy who had his priorities, right? You need those runs.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can get 9 hits and be shut out. Check swing foul back to the backstop by Coco Crisp. Cavelli, Lois, Crisp.
Coco's better. Easier anyway to say.
He was with the Red Sox during their heydays, like back in the 07 season.
Yeah.
Things were so popular then. His dad was doing commercials in Boston.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 2 on, 2 out. 2-2 the count on Crisp. Sip ready. Check swing up and away. Full count, 3-2. We're going to watch Messrs. Donaldson and Kataris in motion here on this next pitch. He wouldn't walk him, would he?
No, the way things are going,
he wouldn't.
Indian pitchers having a hard time finishing off the A's today.
Runners lead, runners go. 3-2 pitch, he walked him. There's the 4th walk in the inning for Tony Sip. They have activity in the bullpen for Cleveland.
I think that's going to be it.
Here comes Manny Acta. Tony Sip, 2/3 of an inning thus far, giving up 1 run, 4 walks. Let's see who the new pitcher is. You know, a guy like Manny Acta has to be just churning on the inside with the way the club has struggled. You know, the manager can make all the managerial moves you want to make, but when guys do not execute, struggle. So with the pitching change coming on here, a right-hander coming in for Cleveland at Progressive Field. The Oakland Athletics will face their fourth pitcher of the afternoon, right-hander Joe Smith, a sidewinder. And Cleveland pitchers, the Oakland hitters have been grinding out at bats. In 4 of the 7 innings, the Cleveland pitchers have had to throw at least 22 pitches. In 4 of those 7 innings, as Tony Sipp watches from the dugout, he could use a sip of water after all the pitches he threw out.
Maybe more than water. I could use more than just water right now watching this stuff.
Joe Smith, the right-hander, works with the bases loaded, delivers a slider inside to Stephen Drew. Drew's 1 for 3 with a single, has driven in a run with a sacrifice fly, scored a run. Smith, a fastball with 89 to 90 miles an hour, the speed, missing inside, ball 2. He's got a slurve. Not really a slider, not really a curve, more of a slurvy type breaking ball.
Decent ERA, 3.29. You know, you mentioned the 22 pitches per inning. You know, these guys for Cleveland, they're getting ahead. You know, you've seen some 0-2 counts, 1-2 counts. They just can't. Yeah, you just all of a sudden start picking at the corners, or you know, with Masterson, I didn't feel like he had a good off-speed pitch. He didn't throw the sinker away too many times. Everything was in to the lefties. And you just couldn't finish them. Sipp the same way, gets ahead of a couple guys, and you know, all of a sudden the ace hitters battle back and even it up at 3-2, and you know, you wind up walking them.
And the bases are loaded. Donaldson at third, Kataris at second, Crisp the runner at first. 3-1 the count here on Drew, who fouls one back out of play. 3-2. We can start the merry-go-round. The bases loaded, 2 out, full count. Guys will be off with the pitch. You see something into an alley here, and it'd be like a jailbreak.
Yeah, and you know, the hitters, to their credit, they have been fighting off some good pitches. You know, they're getting behind. All of a sudden, they're getting themselves back into the count by fighting off some good pitches. And on the other side, you just haven't had any guys for the Indians being able to finish hitters off.
This next pitch that Smith throws, this one coming up, is the 40th of the inning. There's a foul out of play. We're going to see at least 41, Jeff.
At least 41. My goodness. And as a pitcher, you're getting frustrated. You get frustrated as well. You get a 3-2 count. Next thing you know, you got a hitter fouling off. And it's tough when you're and the next thing you know, you start squeezing one and you wind up walking a guy, walking another runner in.
Swing and a miss as Drew did him a favor. He chased ball 4, becomes a strikeout victim to end the inning. Out of all that, Oakland gets 1. They leave 3. They've stranded 6. We're going to keep it here at Progressive Field in Cleveland. we listen to Elvis in the background. We were anticipating a version of God Bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, during
the Marines pick up the public address system there.
Salute those who are overseas defending our freedoms and liberties. Now please join the Marine Corps Band New Orleans, led today by the head of the Marine Corps Music Program, Chief Warrant Officer 4, Michael Edmondson, in singing God Bless America.
On MLB TV, MLB.TV, men and women of our armed services and their families who wait at home in support. We thank you so much for your service to our country. The Marine Corps Band delivering that version of God Bless America. By the way, the run scored in the top of the 7th by the Oakland Athletics, they did that without the benefit of a hit.
A hit. 4 walks.
Sacrifice fly. Who said this game is fair? New second baseman.
And flying.
New second baseman for the Oakland Athletics after Pennington gave way for the pinch hitter Chris Carter. Adam Rosales is the new second baseman. And Blevins, who came on to get the final out in the 6th inning through 1 pitch, and got Brantley to hit into a force play. Blevins will work his first full inning. This is Parker's game to win. Masterson's on the hook. It's been Parker, Scribner, and Blevins for Oakland. Masterson, Seddon, Sipp, and Smith. Sounds like a law firm for Cleveland. Have you been injured in an accident? Well, call the folks at Masterson, Seddon, Sipp, and Smith. Here's Carlos Santana, 0 for 2 with a walk. Turn around, he'll bat right-handed against Blevins.
I think this month the Indians have been injured in accidents.
Pitches up and away, ball 1. You'll know it's serious when they take the married guys off the infield.
Is that right?
Blevins delivers a strike, and it's 1-1 Blevins. He's a wiry guy, 6'6", 175 pounds. Santana takes it inside, and it's 2-1. Santana, KOTCHMAN, and CARRERA do.
Let's see if somebody can throw a 1-2-3 inning here.
I got a feeling. Foul to the backstop, 2-2 on Santana.
Well, you're the Indians. You've got to still feel that you're in the game.
Yeah.
You're only down by 5.
But you need some base runners and you need some timely hits. Easy formula, hard to do.
That quick speed-up game is slowly going into, what, the 3rd hour.
Santana. Miller is warming up in the bullpen. You saw full count here, 3-2. Jim Miller warming up for Oakland. The payoff pitch. Santana takes ball 4 high. What do you think? Another walk.
Hey, something different.
First base runner allowed by Blevins. Indians could have used that in the last inning.
Yeah, they could have. Well, I think if you're both managers, you're both looking for 1, 2, 3 innings, just some guys to throw strikes or get ahead and finish some guys off.
Here is KOTCHMAN. He's 1 out of 3 has scored a run. Had a base hit the last time. Takes a breaking ball inside for ball 1.
I've seen some comebacks here. It's 2001 when I was with Seattle. That year, 116 wins. We were in here and we were winning. It was probably the 7th, 8th inning. We were winning by 10, 15 runs, something like that. And all of a sudden the Indians came back. We couldn't even get an out. Lou was going crazy.
Oh, Lou. You see beauty. Here's a shot to right field, drifting back. Reddick at the edge of the track makes the catch. Ball was hit hard. And Reddick, who's a very good right fielder, tracked it down for the first out.
Lou was great. I mean, he wore his feelings on his sleeve. You see here a fastball in, just gets on top of it, winds up hitting a line drive to right field. Casey KOTCHMAN gets under that just a little bit. It's probably in the right field seats.
The Cleveland Indians, the last time they were in the postseason, 2007. Beat the Yankees in the division series, 4 games. They were up on the Red Sox in the American League Championship Series, 3-1, and lost the last 3. Fouled out a play by CARRERA, who's had a good day. 2 for 3, a single, a double, a stolen base, has scored 2 runs.
It was one of those years that nobody expected them to do a whole lot.
They had one of our favorite people in their lineup at that time, Trot Nixon.
Yeah.
What a grinder he was. Breaking ball, fouled, hit twice at the plate by CARRERA.
Yeah, he was, and especially with the Red Sox. I got to know him a little bit. I mentioned going to Iraq. We went to Iraq together. He's a great guy. He lives in what, North Carolina, South Carolina?
He was recruited to play football as a quarterback at North Carolina State. We were very close to signing. The Red Sox took him in the first round.
Lefty.
Late Lou Gorman.
Yeah.
Drafted him. That was Lou's last draft with the Red Sox. What a nice man Lou Gorman was. CARRERA watches one low and away, a ball and 2 strikes. Trot Nixon's son, Chase, was born on 9/11.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Uh-oh. Jim Thome statue. How about him here? He's a great guy.
Yeah.
You couldn't get off the field. If you were at the first base dugout, you couldn't get off the field without him saying something to you.
Broken bat bouncer foul up the first base line. If I was the first base coach and Jim Thome was the batter and I had a guy throwing off speed on the mound, I wouldn't be 10 feet beyond the coach's box. I'd go over and stand with the third base coach.
He'd hit some monster shots.
Some of the longest home runs I've ever seen. Yeah. Him and Howard with Philadelphia. Pitch is in the dirt. It's 2-2.
Yeah, if you were at home, or I mean, and Thome was out there taking ground balls. I mean, you couldn't get into the dugout without him saying hi or saying. So he was one of the nicest guys in the league. You had Mike Sweeney with the Royals, Sean Casey,
the mayor. 2-2 pitch in the dirt. 3-2. No, he's not going to walk him.
No. We haven't seen any walks today. Why now? Why have the first?
Hitting room through the left side with the shortstop Drew up the middle. Defensively, Oakland has Smith at left, Crispin center, Reddick at right. Infield third to first. Donaldson, Drew, Rosales, and Moss. Kataris now catching Blevins. A lead at first by Santana. He won't be going. 3-2 pitch. He walked. He walked him. Second walk. So CARRERA aboard and Santana to second. That'll bring up HANNAHAN, who gets to bat against the left-handed pitcher. HANNAHAN's been perfect today. 2 singles, an RBI, a walk, and a run scored. I guess that's baseball's version of perfection.
I guess. We have 8 walks on the other side that the Indians have allowed, and this is the 7th walk by the A's pitchers.
2 on, 1 out. Missed inside for a ball. I would put Blevins in the category of a nibbler.
Yeah, he's not overpowering. I mean, he gets ahead of guys. Again, it gets ahead of guys and just has a hard time finishing them off as Kurt Young comes out to give him a say, listen, we're up by 5 runs. Let's go.
Trupiano just called you a nibbler. You're going to take that? The A's, who are leading the wild card race in the American League. Coming in, they've allowed the fewest home runs in the American League. They've given up 1 today, the leadoff home run by Kipnis off Parker. Now, we've got 17 runs that have been scored in this game, but Oakland, their pitchers have put together 13 shutouts, but as an offense, they've been shut out 15 times.
Yeah.
Not today, though. Hannahan looks at a strike.
The Blue Angels are flying again. They had a little lunch.
Yeah, let's get back up there.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if you ever noticed. I always used to watch the games, like when a pitching coach. There was 2 things I always thought if hitters would know and if managers would know.
I'm going to tell you the first one. I know what you're going to say. Let me see if I'm right. Pitch is wide. After the pitching coach visits, the first pitch is always a fastball.
Always a fastball. I mean, what do they say? I mean, when you get behind, they say, okay, let me, and every time, how about a nice sinker down and away, get a ground ball double play here?
What's the other one?
And every time a pitcher would go and they didn't like the baseball that they had, and they throw it back, that next pitch would be a breaking ball, because they're trying to find a ball that have seams, that have nice seams that they can put their fingers on and get a good grip on it. If they're always throwing it back, then that next pitch is going to be a breaking ball.
Did you ever fall into that trap?
I did, because I threw a slider and I wanted a good seam. And the one trap, I'd had Mel Stoudemire or Brian Price, they'd come out all the time, they'd tap you on the butt, say, come on, let's get a ground ball double play here, fastball away. And I knew it. I'm like, heck, I'm not going to do that.
Out of play down the left field
I'll
line.
get ahead with my slider and get a double play. But for a ball that I'm throwing back that I didn't like, I was trying to get a baseball that I could get a good grip on so I could throw a slider. Got a nice ribbon there for, I guess you could say, cancer awareness or support our troops.
Over the stands and left. 2-2 pitch. Line shot, center field. It's going to be caught by Crisp, but went down to one knee. Hannahan made a bid for another hit. He hit it hard, but on a line, and it stayed up for Crisp.
Exactly. That's a tough play for a center fielder because you don't know whether that ball is going to drop. You see Coco Crisp kind of stays put a little bit because he can't read the ball. Those line drives straight to you, and it makes a great play running in and getting that. Almost has to go to one knee.
That'll leave it up to Marson. 0 for 3. He's had a tough day. He's bounced into a double play as Bob Melvin is going to make a move here. Marson's been called out on strikes and popped to the second baseman. They're going to the bullpen. So Blevins is done, responsible for the 2 men on base. And we get another pitching change here. Jim Miller will be coming on for the Oakland Athletics, their 4th pitcher of the day. Win or lose, no matter what. They have a fan here in Cleveland who does believe. It's like she's sitting alone.
Exactly. We have some bags, and they don't believe.
That's just so wrong on so many levels. That's wrong.
You got the guy with the Yankee hat on behind the bags.
Jim Miller, 30-year-old right-hander, fastball, curveball, slider pitcher. He is from Randolph, New Jersey. Signed originally by the Rockies, a draft choice out of the University of Louisiana at Monroe. Speaking of Louisiana, I hope the folks down in the Gulf Coast are able to hang in there as Isaac moves through. Boy, that area's been hard hit, huh?
Oh, exactly. I looked at it today and seen all the water.
Miller to face Marson with 2 on, 2 out. 11-6 our score. Oakland with the lead going for the sweep of the 4 games. And Miller misses high for ball 1.
Miller last year was in Colorado. 6 games, 7 innings.
These guys, Oakland signed him to a minor league contract back in November of last year as Marson was late on a fastball and fouls it out of play.
He's doing a decent job. 1.6 ERA, 2.16 ERA.
This is the first time he's pitched since he was recalled on the 24th of this month. This is his 3rd stint with the A's this year. Right-handed batters have given him problems, hitting .286. Left-handers are only hitting a .138 off him.
Yeah, so why don't we bring him in against a righty?
Yeah, he's got something to work on. 2 balls and a strike at second base. That's Santana watching the Blue Angels fly by. Carrera's on at first. Back like when your kids are in Little League, they watch the guys with those remote control planes while the Little League game was going on. Pitch is high.
Another 3-ball count.
3-1.
The strike zone's been very tight here tonight, or today. We're going into tonight.
You know what? Cleveland needs a long ball. Marson may not be the candidate, but they need a long ball with a couple of people on. On 3-1. Marson hits it down the right field line, foul and out of play. Marson does not have a home run this year. He does have 10 extra base hits, 8 doubles, 2 triples.
And as a pitcher coming into these situations, you know guys have struggled in front of you, especially when they've had men on base. There's only been one time, that was the first inning that Cleveland, that Cleveland hasn't had guys on base. Well, actually, they haven't had a 1-2-3 inning yet. Oakland has. So it's, know it as a pitcher.
Runners go on the 3-2 pitch with 2 down, and it's fouled out of play. And Moss and Rosales get chased down the right field line.
And you only had 1-2-3 inning, or actually 1-2-3 innings the whole entire game. And you get into a 3-2 count, you start squeezing the ball a little bit and aren't aiming it. Next thing you know, you've walked the bases loaded again.
Cleveland has left 7. 6 have been stranded by Oakland. 69th pitch of this inning is a little flare out into right field. It falls for a hit. And coming across for Cleveland, Santana. And stopping at third is Carrera. 69 pitches from the top of the 7th to this point. So a little flare RBI single into right field by Marson, who gets a 2-out hit. And it's 11-7.
There's just a pitch on the outside part of the plate, and that's all that Marson could do, is just to flare it, hit it off the end of the bat over the second baseman head, Rosales.
Here is Kipnis, a long one now, and we'd have something going. Pitch is in tight, ball 1. Kipnis has homered, leading off the first. Bounced to the first baseman in the third, doubled and scored in the 5th, walked with the bases loaded to force in a run in the last inning. Runners at the corners, a run home, 2 down. There's an off-speed pitch taken for a strike.
Blue Angels are a couple feet away from each other. The wheels down, looks like they're going to go land.
Next one. Fouled as he got jammed. He fouled it straight back. That was in on the thumbs.
It's also when you got an umpire that's taking away the inside part of the plate, you have a lot of lefties on both sides. These guys are going up knowing that, okay, anything inside is not going to be called a strike anyway. And it's tough when you're a pitcher knowing that, because the hitters are going to have the advantage. So you know what? I'm not going to swing at anything inside. I'll just wait till the ball leaks out over the plate. And that's what they've done this game.
We saw Sean Doolittle starting to warm, the left-hander. There's Kipnis stays alive, fouling the ball off to the left. Kipnis, his home run was his 13th. He's driven in a pair today, has 65 runs batted in. Has Carrera at third. And Larson at first. 2 down. Popped him up. Right center field. Rosales out. Reddick coming in. And Rosales takes charge and makes the catch. And that ends the inning. Only one across for Cleveland. We go to the 8th. 11-7 Athletics. "84 years ago in athletics history." This is Philadelphia athletics history. Tris Speaker went down swinging or looking in his final major league at bat. Retired with the Philadelphia Athletics. Spent a lot of time with the Cleveland Indians, of course. Member of the Hall of Fame class of 1937.
Didn't face him either.
Missed him, huh?
Yeah, I think it was a year. He was a year behind me.
Mr. Speaker, wearing his hat askew. Trendsetter.
There it is. Now they do it all the time.
Josh Reddick against Joe Smith, who gets the slider over for a called strike. Reddick has one of 3 home runs hit today by the Athletics. He's also had an RBI single, 2 out of 4. He scored a run and driven in 3. Pitches over below, a ball and a strike. Reddick, Cespedes, and Smith in this inning for the Athletics.
You get righties nowadays that are putting their hats crooked.
Yeah, what's with that? Pitches outside the law. You know what I hate? The flat bill.
Yeah, how about that?
Old school. I'm too old school.
Yeah. Fernando Rodney that wears it all crooked, and so does Felix Hernandez. I guess the way they're pitching, I guess they can.
Here's a high fly, shallow left. Carrera coming in. Can't get there. Boxes it around. On to second goes Reddick. Here's the throw. Fairly close, but he's in there safely, according to Jerry Meals, the second base umpire. Do they give him a double, or is it a single and an error? I think it's single and an error, but I'm a tough grader.
Look at that. You get a fastball on the outside part of the plate. It's in no man's land down in left field. Carrera really playing deep. Comes in to try to get it. Goes off his glove. Reddick hustles in. I don't think he ever stopped.
Single and an error.
Single and an error.
Told you I'm a tough grader.
There you go.
Carrera's first error of the year, or first error of the ball game.
This is the big leagues. They got to make those plays.
Yeah, make those plays. You get paid. Come on.
Exactly.
Here's Cespedes. Yeah. Long on, hit to center field deep. Brantley back on the track, makes the catch. Tagging at second, going to third is Reddick. That's the first out of the inning. Cespedes first pitch swinging, gave that ball a ride. He has a couple hits today. Here's Seth Smith. He's been on base twice, a double and a walk, has scored a run, officially 1 for 3. One of the Blue Angels is still up there.
Yeah, they had 4 of them go right by, lined up next to each other.
Oh, yeah? I was squinting, I just saw one. Smith with the infield in. Takes a breaking ball down and in. Who taught you the slider?
Pat Dobson for the Mariners. When you mentioned I got drafted by the Dodgers, and I had Larry Sherry, Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, Johnny Padres, Paranowski. I mean, they are all there trying to teach me how to throw a breaking ball, because I didn't really throw a good one out of high school, and then never really learned one. I got 6 or 7 people trying to teach me one.
Hard shot, diving stop by KOTCHMAN, freezes the runner at third, saves a run as he steps on and robs Seth Smith of a double and an RBI.
That's a heck of a play with KOTCHMAN playing in. You have the infield in.
There's the top fielding first baseman in Major League Baseball the last 4 years.
That's a shot Moss hit down the line. Or actually Smith hit down the line. Great play by KOTCHMAN. He looks the runner back.
Second out of the inning, they can drop the infield back, and here's Brandon Moss.
And then I go to Seattle and had Pat Dobson there, one of the guys that won 20 games back with the Orioles, and he shows me the grip and became a lot better. And then I always threw over top.
There's a drive into left field. Carrera to his right towards the line, makes the catch. And the inning is over. They leave a runner at third. So for the first time in a long time, Oakland fails to score. The 11-7 Athletics going to the bottom of the 8th. They had puppy here at Progressive Field. The folks brought their canine friends. How you doing there, big guy?
Take him.
Aren't you? Man, I just been told how many
you
dogs
like that?
do they have here? 300 and what? 366 dogs were here last night. Puppy Palooza. And this is the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And they just played the Rascals Hang On Sloopy, and they had the folks dancing in the aisles here.
I guess you have to do something to draw some fans, huh?
I got ripped on ESPN because I said the pitch is down and in here to ASDRUBAL Cabrera from Jim Miller, rather. I mentioned that I thought I've been lucky enough to have been to all the halls of fame: baseball, hockey, football, basketball. Here's a drive down the right field line, pulled foul, and out of play. And I was a little disappointed, to be frank, about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Really?
I said it was It was the Hard Rock Cafe without the burgers.
Oh, really?
And I got ripped for that. Chris Perez, the closer, hasn't had much work lately for Cleveland. Some people don't have a sense of humor.
I've never been. You know, I actually have never been to the Baseball Hall of Fame. We went one time in '93. We played one of those Hall of Fame games when I was with Seattle. We played against Philadelphia. And never got an opportunity. It was one of those off days. We used to do it during an off day during the middle of the season, and went in and played the game and went out. Never got to go through the building.
I got to go twice. Once when I was with the Astros, once when I was with the Red Sox. It's well worth the trip. I mean, you could spend days there.
Right.
And see everything. Cabrera takes it high, and it's 2-2. When I was with the Astros, we got there was the year Lou Brock went in, the Cardinals, and we got on our charter. And at that time, Ronald Reagan was the president. George Bush, the first President Bush, was the vice president, and he was a Sox fan, so he came to the game, swing and a miss, and going down on strikes was Cabrera. First strikeout for Miller. So. When he took off in Air Force 2, you have to wait 15-20 minutes for that aircraft to leave the area. We were on our charter to go on to New York, and the brakes got vapor lock, and we couldn't go.
Oh, really?
So the pilot says, I have to thrust the engines, and if it works, that's fine. We'll take off. If not, we have to get another aircraft. Breaking ball in there for a called strike to CHOO, 1 for 4 with a single and 3 RBIs today. So he thrust the engines, but we were too close to a hangar, blew the door off a hangar, took tail off a Lear jet, and crushed a Lincoln Continental, okay?
Did it work?
No.
It didn't get on.
We had to wait till 2 o'clock in the morning. And the old Ozark Airlines was coming in for a charter to bring all the St. Louis people back. We commandeered their plane and flew on to New York to play the Mets. The people from St. Louis were not too happy. But blew the doors off this hangar, crushed a Lincoln Continental, and wiped out a tail on a Lear jet. I'd like to see that insurance bill.
Something out of a movie.
Base is empty. 1 out here, bottom of the 8th, 11-7. Oakland check swing. Did he go? There's no appeal. Did he go? 2-1. The Tribe needs base runners.
Fastball inside, just missed again. Not getting that inside part called.
Where's CHOO going to be next year? Scott Boras is his agent. Pitches outside and low, 3-1. And he looks like they've tried to approach him about re-signing him.
Right.
They've got nowhere with that, so he's likely to be traded in the offseason.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, he's a good player, and he gets into a lineup that you can put some hitters around him.
He's hit by a pitch, got him right in the knee.
You hear that from up here?
Yep, that hit bone. That didn't hit the fleshy part. That hit bone. So Miller hits CHOO with a pitch.
See, this tries to comes inside with a fastball, hits him right down the shin. It hits SHIN-SOO in the shin. You knew that.
SHIN-SOO has a sore shin. It's better than getting chin music.
Yeah. Well, you look at teams that are going to need outfielders, and you put him in a lineup that has some complementary guys and some power hitters around him. His averages are going to go up to 300 again. He's a very good player.
To me, he'd be perfect with a team like the Yankees if they lose Swisher.
Right.
San Francisco could use another outfielder. You don't know what the Melky Cabrera situation could be.
Right.
Speaking of that, Melky Cabrera, Bartolo Colon, isn't that an embarrassment?
Yeah, they're not too bright. I mean, just to think that you can get away with it and continue to do it nowadays just amazes me.
After Kurt Young pays a visit to the mound, Miller will work to Brantley, who's 1 for 3 with a double plus a walk. Runner at first and a bouncing ball. Second baseman Rosales gets the force at second. No other play. Good play by Rosales, ranging to his left. So Brantley reaches on a fielder's choice. First pitch swinging. CHOO is forced 4-6.
You see Brantley hits the ball in the hole, and Rosales did a great job of getting that lead runner. Almost had enough to turn two, but Brantley's a little too quick.
Rosales reminds me a little bit of Bobby Grich, a big, tall second baseman. Here is Santana.
You get a lot of guys with a lead a little bit. He'll just take that and throw it over to first base and forget the lead runner. But you're only up by 4. The way all these walks been, you never know.
Blue Angels, if you're just joining us, the Blue Angels, they got a Labor Day air show coming up here in Cleveland, and there's a little rehearsal going on. Ball and a strike. Cleveland scored first, a leadoff home run by Kipnis in the first. Crisp tied it with a solo shot in the third. But then a 5-run fourth broke it open for Oakland. They haven't been headed since. They scored in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh innings. Go to first. And falling back to the bag is Brantley. Indians got a single run in the first, a single run in the fourth, 1 in the fifth. We got a crooked number in the sixth, 3 and 1 in the seventh. 11-7 our score. Runner goes, pitch delivered, ground ball off the pitcher's glove to the shortstop on the second baseman side of the bag, throws to first. Drew gets Santana. I believe that's going to be 1-6-3 on the out. They leave a man, they stranded 10. We go to the ninth, 11-7 Oakland. Fifth pitcher of the afternoon coming on for the Cleveland Indians. Their closer hasn't had much work lately. Chris Perez. Perez, a hard-throwing right-hander, is making the appearance here. His 51st, 0-4 record, a 3.47 ERA. 33 saves for Perez, who started in the Cardinals organization. Perez, fastball, slider, and an occasional changeup. He's a max effort guy out there. Throws hard.
One thing he doesn't do, he doesn't walk a lot of guys, so let's hope that continues.
Had a late start in spring training due to an oblique problem. He'll face the bottom 3 in the order: Donaldson, Kataris, and Rosales. Which is in there for a call strike.
Perez's 33 saves. He's 4th in the league. See that 52 strikeouts in 46 and 2/3 innings.
Slider away. The Cardinals took him with a sandwich pick after the first round. Back in 06, 42nd player selected out of the University of Miami. Traded to Cleveland in June of 09. Missing low and away, 2-1. It's been Masterson, Seddon, Sip, Smith, Chris Perez. To the screen, evens it at 2-2. This is Parker's game to win. Masterson's on the hook for Cleveland. The Indians have fallen on hard times. There's a drive deep to left. This ball is gone. Well, Perez has had trouble giving up the long ball before. Donaldson continues his hot hitting as he hits number 4 into the seats in left, just high enough to get out. 12-7 Oakland, their 4th home run of the game. See how many home runs Perez in the past has given up. A lot of home runs.
See, Donaldson just gets a fastball up around the eyes and just lets it loose. Hits it just over that big left field wall.
That's the 4th he's given up this year. In the past, he's given up a lot of home runs. Slider down and in, ball 1. 12-7 our score. Donaldson's been terrific since being recalled this last time from Sacramento. Foul out of play to the left.
He had a big home run yesterday, a home run today.
Smith, who preceded Perez to the mound, and an inning and a third, gave a 1-hit, 1 strikeout. That's his pitching line. Down and in, 2-1. Smith is the only pitcher for Cleveland thus far today not to give up a run. Thirteen hits for Cleveland, 10 for Cleveland, 13 for Oakland. Foul out of play. Cleveland has left 10. Oakland is stranded 7. Cleveland's pitching coach was ejected back in the 7th inning. Niebla, for arguing with the plate umpire Paul Elmo, questioning some of the pitch calls when Tony Sipp was on the hill. And Manny active, contemplating things in the Cleveland dugout. Third baseman HANNAHAN over for a look on his latest foul, but it's dropped by a fan in the second row, taken by a fan in the first row.
And this is tough for closers. When they're used to coming in and closing out games, you ask them to come in to get some work, and sometimes they're just not as sharp. You'll see this a lot.
The guy missed the foul ball. He's with a nice looking lady, and the guy who got the ball gives it to the attractive young lady as
souvenir.
His guitarist is called on the strikes. The guy risked life and limb trying to catch that foul ball, misses it. Only in America. First strikeout for Perez. Here is Rosales hitting for the first time today. Broken bat pop up behind second base. Off to the right of second base, caught at the edge of the outfield grass by Kipnis. More kindling.
Well, at least the bats aren't flying through the infield. I think that was the maple bats, and the ash bats are the ones that don't break totally. They kind of splinter like we've seen the last couple. Maybe there's some ash bats.
You mentioned Donaldson homered last night. He's homered here today. It's the first time in his career, in his brief major league career, he's homered in back-to-back games. As Crisp takes a breaking ball high from Chris Perez. Pitch is inside. He has to jackknife out of the way. 2-0. Crisp is homered today. 1 of 4 hit by Oakland. They have 146 as a team.
Well, for a team that doesn't have a lot of offense, they scored 8 last night, 12 today.
All strike, 2-1. They go home, take on the new-look Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, how about that trade? What'd you think of that?
That was a money dump, was it not? Popped up, foul ball. The catcher coming over, Marshall can't hang on, it's off his mitt. 2-2 on Crisp.
This thing's just short of that little fence down there where the fans are. He didn't get all the way over there. just off his glove.
Getting back to that trade, that was some trade, but now what do they do to fill those spots? Does a guy like Bill James and the number crunchers help select it, or do you leave it up to the baseball people?
Well, you know there's going to be some kind of number crunching, the statistical guys. But heck, it leaves the Dodgers. You don't have a lot to talk about in the winter.
Huh. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Perez, who gives up a run on the leadoff home run by Donaldson. Cleveland needs 5 to tie, 6 to win. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Along with Jeff Nelson, I'm Jerry Trupiano. Welcome back to Progressive Field in Cleveland, where we go to the bottom of the ninth. And the Oakland Athletics in line for a 4-game sweep here as they hang on to the wild card lead in the American League.
Yeah, extend that season series win over Cleveland 8-2, 8 out of 10. So this is a 5-run lead. That was kind of a little nail in the coffin at the top of the ninth with that home run.
Miller, who's worked an inning and 1/3 thus far to face Casey KOTCHMAN, has made the defensive play of the day. 1 for 4 with a base hit and a run scored. KOTCHMAN, CARRERA, and HANNAHAN. That lady with the sign earlier says she believes her guys need 5 to tie and 6 to win. They're going to test her faith in this.
Yeah, they've been testing their faith all month.
A ball and a strike on KOTCHMAN.
This will be what, their 23rd loss?
Yeah. I say that you've lost faith.
Well, you look at last year, they had some injuries and they were outstanding, and they probably exceeded expectations and then fell off and got back under 500.
Coco Crisp in right center for the first out in the bottom of the ninth.
And then this year started out hot. And then, I mean, if they lose tonight, they're 21 games under 500.
They were 11-9. Cleveland was 11-9 in April, 16-14 in May. Started to go south in June at 12-15. July 11-15. They're about to go 5-23 in August. I mentioned Oakland's going home to face Boston. After Oakland leaves, the Texas Rangers come here.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier.
Carrera looks at a called strike. He's been on base 3 times, a single, a double, a walk. He has scored 2 runs. Stolen base. 1-1 the count here on Ezequiel Carrera. Well, Jeff, I don't know if we're going to get a chance to do this again, but I really enjoyed it.
It was a lot of fun. Yes, I had a great time.
Fly ball, shallow, left field. Shortstop out. Drew shows good range, makes the catch. He had a nice catch earlier on a fly ball and left field over towards the line off Santana's bat that he caught.
He did. He's showing that he's getting healthy, staying healthy.
Now that'll leave it up to Jack HANNAHAN. HANNAHAN pair of singles, an RBI, a walk, and a run scored. Last time up, he lined to center. He's the last hope for the Cleveland Indians. This will be Parker's game to win. He'll go 9 and 7. Called strike.
Boy, after this, Oakland's got a tough schedule. Their final 32 games mentioned in the pregame, 9 games with teams under 500. 6 of those are against the Mariners, 3 against the Red Sox. They'll see the Yankees, they'll see the Tigers, the Rangers, the Orioles, and the Angels. So if it's going to happen, they are going to earn it. And Bob Melvin's doing a heck of a job there. I mean, he's going to be considered, I'm sure, for manager of the year if the A's can get into the playoffs.
Rightfully so. There's called strike 3, and that does it. Second strikeout for Miller. The totals 12 runs, 13 hits, and no errors for Oakland. They left 7 for Cleveland. The Indians, 7 runs on 10 hits, 1 error. They left 10. Parker the winner, 9 and 7. Masterson the loser, 10 and 12. Well, as we wrap this one up, Jeff Nelson, the Oakland Athletics go home feeling good about themselves. The Cleveland Indians still searching for a way out of this mess.
It is. It was a tough homestand for Cleveland, a great road trip for Oakland. And it's just one of those, I mean, Justin Masterson, this is the second outing in 3 starts that he's faced the A's and never really made an adjustment either one. He gave up 7 the first time and 5 2/3. This time he only lasts 4. And it's all about finishing hitters. We saw all day the Indians pitchers get ahead, but they could not finish them off. Masterson, great fastball, good sink. Got ahead of hitters, could not finish them off. Next thing you know, in that big 4th inning, he gave up 5 runs and kind of lost it there, kind of loses confidence. And when you've lost 22 games and 23 going in today in a month, and you mentioned that Santana got benched a little bit for maybe a lack of focus, it's a here we go again syndrome. When are we going to try to bounce out of this? And Manny Acta's going to have a tough job trying to turn this team around and try to get them into a winning attitude. This is their 5th loss in a row, the A's 6th win in a row, and they just keep building the A's do in that wild card lead. But, you know, disappointing for the pitching staff for the Indians. You know, they walked a lot of guys, and the A's capitalized on that. With a team that doesn't have a lot of offense, they've showed it in these last 2 games.
And what showed you something about the Oakland Athletics and their resolve, those few times when Cleveland started to come back, the A's came right back.
Right, and you can't do that. You can't be trading run for run when you're behind as much as you've been.
All right, the final from Cleveland. The Athletics win it 12-7, sweep the 4-game series. An air show rehearsal with the Blue Angels, a lot of noise and a lot of runs for the Oakland Athletics. They sweep the 4-game series, winning this one. Parker the win, Masterson the loss. For Jeff Nelson, I'm Jerry Trupiano and our entire crew. We thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the telecast as the Oakland Athletics continue a hot run and the Cleveland Indians continue to stumble at Progressive Field. So long, everybody.